subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Felt as if he had made a wrong decision. "Kid, you are so awesome. How much is the reward?" A stout pirate carrying a machete said with a ferocious smile and was drooling. He looked at Desire, who had eaten the slippery fruit with fascination, his eyes full of desire. "Oka, if the live phone bug over there looks over, snipe it," Dai said coldly. He now agrees more and more with Fan Oka's point of view. Some people's fate is doomed. Looking at these yelling pirates, Dai's eyes were filled with murderous intent. The barking of the weak is so powerless in his eyes. "Understood, my captain," Van Oka replied calmly. "This is really an arrogant captain. Is he preparing to have a relationship with a legendary pirate like Golden Lion Shiki? Be careful in the next life." Trash! A red light flashed in Dai's eyes, and he rushed out in an instant. A barrier blade appeared in his hand, and he split the arrogant pirate carrying a machete in half. Blood and internal organs splashed out in an instant. The noisy pirates were suddenly silenced like a duck being choked. Seeing Captain Dai launch an attack, this was like a signal, and the other crew members also took action, drawing their swords and killing these heckled pirates. Larugo looked extremely pale as he watched the brutal fight of the Big Daddy pirates. "Is this crazy? How dare you launch an indiscriminate attack on so many pirate groups? If you don't have strength, every choice will be particularly important. And this time you made the wrong choice. The price will be the lives of your entire group." Dai appeared in front of Larugo like a demon, and his ruthless voice gently passed into Larugo's ears. "Wait a moment." With a flash of sword light, the head of Kurt, the vice captain of the Amigo Pirates, fell to Larugo's feet. "No, Kurt!" Larugo immediately hugged his brother's head and burst into tears, looking at the Demon Dai duo with anger and fear. In the end, his anger overcame his fear, and he attacked Dai brazenly. His body turned into a blazing grid and covered Dai, intending to capture and strangle Dai. Too weak. The barrier blade in Dai's hand slowly turned from transparent to pitch black, reflecting a dazzling metallic black light. The black light flashed and whizzed by. Dai had already rushed to the rear of Larugo. Then, with cold eyes, he slashed across with a 40-meter-long knife, instantly cutting off the entire crew of the Amigo Pirates. This area instantly turned into a hell on earth, with blood and flesh splattered everywhere. Bang! Larugo's upper body, floating in the air, finally fell to the ground. His face was bloodless, and he raised his head with difficulty, looking desperately at all the dead crew members. He looked at his brother Kurt's head with tears, his lips trembling, his pupils dilated, and he closed his eyes forever before he could say the last word. This Amigo pirate group from West Blue had just entered the Grand Line and was already wiped out. At this point, this generation of Paramecia and Net Fruit users died, and the Net Fruit was reborn in an unknown place. The brutal fighting here quickly attracted the attention of the Bacardi Grand Plaza duel venue. The Hedgehog Spike and the Order Maintainer under the Golden Lion also looked at the noisy pirates outside with a little annoyance. As today's protagonist, Spike the Hedgehog doesn't want others to steal his limelight. This is his personal performance time to join the Golden Lion Thief Club. What happened? Order Maintainer Elmo held up a live broadcast phone and shouted loudly that this unexpected situation had affected his ability to continue broadcasting for Fakong headquarters. Although Lord Golden Lion may not necessarily watch the little fights of these pirates, there are still other small cadres who will select captains for Lord Shiki to join. However, at the next moment, 3 consecutive gunshots were fired, causing Elmo to dodge quickly, but the live phone bug in his hand was still shot. His eyes widened in disbelief. He didn't expect that any pirate would dare to attack him. Chapter 61, Spike the Hedgehog Dies. Elmo, the orderly officer who was attacked, was completely furious. After he joined the Golden Lion boss's force, he recruited so many captains to join the Thief Leaders Guild, and he had never been attacked like this before. Kill them. Spike. This is also part of the mission. Elmo yelled angrily that this sniper actually injured him. He only managed to dodge one bullet. In addition to the one that destroyed the live phone bug, another shot hit his wrist. This sniper's top-notch prediction made the live phone bug in his hand certain to die. If the sniper hadn't targeted the live phone bug, he doubted that he would have been able to escape such a deadly sniper attack. Haha. Kill them, and I will be the 44th captain of the Thieves' Captain Association. Spike the Hedgehog stroked his 3 spiked hairs and laughed loudly at Elmo. It just so happened that none of these hot chicken opponents could keep him entertained. Now is the time for a massacre. You can kill as many as you want, but the weak are not qualified to live, let alone join the Golden Lion boss. Go tell them that being a pirate is not just a noisy game of house. Elmo smiled grimly and said that if Spike the Hedgehog could kill all these useless pirates of the new era, he thought Lord Shiki would be even happier. He doesn't care about the life or death of these pirates at all, as long as he can recruit the strongest pirate captain to go back. Thorn, haha, just what I want. Spike the Hedgehog said bloodthirstily, and then looked at the pirates whose attention was attracted, his eyes even more unhappy. He is the focus today, these blind pirates who cannot see. Spike Chariot. Dense brown sharp spikes sprouted from Spike the Hedgehog's head and back. Then he curled up into a spiked ball and crashed straight into these pirates with an unstoppable momentum. He also attacks indiscriminately and wants to kill all the pirates who stand in his way. No one can stop his Spike Chariot. Spike UBD. Spike, are you crazy? Run. Spike the Hedgehog killed someone. These pirates who were watching the excitement from the outside were unexpectedly stabbed in the back by Spike, the favorite to win the championship. In an instant, a large number of pirates fell to the ground and turned into mince. Spike the Hedgehog rolled out a bloody path among the pirates and rushed straight towards the fighting Big Daddy pirates. Oh, die to Lousy. Barrier, Susanoo's hand. When Dai saw a spiked meatball rushing over, he just snorted and slapped Spike the Hedgehog into the ground with a huge barrier hand, completely embedding him under the ground. These pirates did not expect that Spike the Hedgehog, who they regarded as nearly invincible, will be defeated with just one move. Even the order maintainer Elmo was stunned for a moment. It seems that this troublemaker is quite capable, but feeling the pain from the gunshot wound on his wrist, he would never recruit this BD into the Thieves' Association. Spike the Hedgehog struggled out from the ground and looked at Dai, the sneak attacker, with great anger. Lousy will make 10,000 bloody holes in your body. The spikes on Spike's body exploded again, and he rushed towards Dai violently. At this moment, the anger made him completely lose his mind. Then you also lose your recruitment value. When Dai heard the words of Spike the Hedgehog, he said coldly, directly controlled Susanoo's hand and squeezed the hedgehog orc. Under Dai's sudden force, Spike the Hedgehog was crushed and deformed bit by this giant barrier hand in the eyes of all the pirates. The sound of broken bones was heard constantly, and blood splashed crazily in the air. Spike the Hedgehog was squeezed to death as easily as he was squeezing an orange to squeeze the juice. Dai hasn't even shown his true strength yet. At this moment, all the pirates showed fear in their eyes. Run. He is the murderous demon of East Blue, the new king with a bounty of hundreds of millions. Big Daddy Babaya. Some pirates finally recognized the identity of the Big Daddy pirates and immediately retreated and ran away like crazy. Why, what a terrifying captain. Geese's badges laughed wildly and then elbowed an escaping pirate to death. He seemed to have boarded a lawless pirate ship, and he even dared to destroy the Golden Lion Shiki's recruitment conference. However, this is exactly what he wants. This kind of pirate group is where he wants to stay. Big Daddy Babaya. Elmo, the order maintainer, quickly remembered this newcomer. It seemed that even the boss of Golden Lion was very interested in this newcomer from East Blue. East Blue hasn't had a decent pirate for a long time. Seeing the gunshot wound on his wrist and the Golden Lion boss's admiration for the Big Daddy pirates, Elmo narrowed his eyes and didn't know what to choose for a while. Kill them all. If you dare to attack us, you must be prepared to die. Dai killed 2 demon fruit powers casually, but he didn't feel any pity. Instead, he felt very comfortable. In the past, he always recruited for the sake of recruiting, but in terms of mood and courage, he finally fell behind. As a pirate, you should kill as you please. If they don't join, Dai will no longer force himself. But if Dai wants to kill them, what does it have to do with them? Dai's massacre only made Baiji Keluo feel a little pity. What a good subordinate. If you give the thief a while, you might be able to conquer him. Pity. Such a pity. However, Baiji Keluo once again noticed the changes in Dai, who seemed to be more haki and more powerful. Dai frowned when he heard the name of Golden Lion Shiki before, but after deciding to attack these pirates just now, he seemed to be no longer afraid of Golden Lion. What a wonderful destiny! Otoyoshi fan Oka also felt the strong change in Dai, and this momentum made him smile. Can't run away. Look at Lousie's Sonic Cannon. Sonic Adrago chased them to the port and sprayed huge laser sound waves at these pirate ships, penetrating 7 or 8 pirate ships. The sea beast Moo is also knocking over these pirate ships one by one, and the evil figure of Cyclone Eric is also wielding a huge wind blade to destroy the masts of the pirate ships. Wayahaha! These crew members are also very strong. Giza's badges also wanted to show off his power, lifting a pirate ship alive on the sea and throwing it onto the building in the port. Countless pirates are shouting in fear. What kind of lunatics are these big daddy pirates? The pirate hunter Zoro and the ghost mannequin are looking for those powerful pirate captains to fight with each other to hone their swordsmanship and martial arts. And Dai had already walked towards the order maintainer Elmo because he saw this guy and actually took out another communication phone bug. Although he is no longer afraid of the Golden Lion Shiki, he still needs some time to grow when facing a legendary pirate who has been practicing for decades. Generally speaking, Kakuzu, the main character, emphasizes being invincible at the same level. If you go to the opposite level, you need to use some tricks, otherwise you can only stand still and develop. Then let these old guys see what a real genius and protagonist is. Chapter 62 Elmo dies, seeing Dai approaching step by step. Order maintainer Elmo felt a little nervous. As a veteran pirate, he was actually frightened by a newcomer. He could only pretend to be indifferent, but he didn't stop dialing the phone number. Boom! There was another gunshot, and the phone bug Elmo had just dialed was beaten to pieces. This also let him know that he really met a stupid man today. It seems that the new king of East Blue does not know the true terror of the legendary pirate Golden Lion Shiki. Daddy Babaya, do you know that Lord Golden Lion, this is a legendary pirate as powerful as 4 Emperors Whitebeard? Are you going to go against our sky pirates? Elmo looked at Dai calmly and said in a stern tone. With the support of Golden Lion Shiki behind him, he did have some confidence. But I am afraid that Dai is a newbie who is fearless and has never even heard of the name Golden Lion. So have you contacted Golden Lion now? Dai said calmly. After killing these gathered pirates, it might take some time for them to be exposed. But if he let this order maintainer go, he believed that he would soon be surrounded by the forces under Golden Lion Shiki. Now the bounty hunters on Bacardi Island have been almost wiped out by these pirates, and the Big Daddy pirates only need to kill these vicious pirates. What do you mean? You want to attack me? Are you really not afraid of Golden Lion-sama's hundreds of flying fleets chasing him? Shiki-sama is the overlord pirate who destroyed half of the naval headquarters. Hearing Dai's cold tone, Elmo was already a little panicked, but he immediately threatened with a deep heart. He didn't believe that there were really new pirates who were not afraid of the Golden Lion. Yes, that's what you think. Barrier Piercing Master. Dai ignored Elmo's threat and suddenly grinned, and then a hard barrier spike burst out directly under Elmo. Even though Elmo was already looking at Dai warily, without the 2-color hockey, he still didn't expect the attack to come from the ground. The barrier spikes penetrated Elmo's abdomen directly, pushing into the air, and blood continued to splash. Master Shiki will not let you go, Elmo screamed sharply. This time he really met the stupid king who was not afraid of death. He was really unwilling to accept it. He still had a good life and didn't enjoy it. It's just a remnant of an era with a brain stuck in the rudder. I guess I can't even use Conqueror's Hockey now. Dai crossed his fingers and waved, and another barrier spike burst out, directly piercing the heart of the Order maintainer, ending his painful cry. Thinking about Golden Lion Shiki's intermittent mental disorder, he often can't even recognize the people next to him, and because the rudder has been deeply embedded in his brain, it is impossible to pull out, which has completely restricted his Conqueror's Hockey. He couldn't concentrate and couldn't activate Observation Hockey, and his energy and blood couldn't explode too violently, causing him to be unable to use Conqueror's Hockey and Armament Hockey. Otherwise, it would easily cause the fragile blood vessels in his head to burst and endanger his life. Being able to survive in this situation is still attributed to his strong strength and luck. In addition, Golden Lion Shiki is old. He is about the same age as Whitebeard, and his energy and blood have declined a lot now. Golden Lion Shiki was finally defeated by Straw Hat Luffy, who was only developed to the 3rd level, which shows that his current health bar is really thin and very brittle. However, Golden Lion Shiki's Awakened Lion Fruit and the strength of the great swordsman still make him full of intimidation. Especially big pirates who own territory will not mess with him, to avoid being attacked by Sky Island. As for the current 4 emperors, Big Mom and the Beast have the ability to fly and are not afraid of the Golden Lion at all. Whitebeard's Shock Fruit can shatter the space, and the red-haired Conqueror's Hockey can shock across the island. The most important thing is that the 4 emperors all have the ability to open the sky with a single blow. Flying Sky Island is nothing more than that in their eyes. They can directly chop it down from the air. If Golden Lion Shiki still had the strength of the 4 emperors, he would have entered the New World to seize territory. Without Conqueror's Hockey, and because his mind was often not clear, his strength really dropped a lot. And because of the rudder of his head, he couldn't fight a protracted battle at all. In a real one-on-one fight, he might not be able to defeat several 7 warlords of the sea for several days and nights. Dai knows that the current Golden Lion Shiki's swordsmanship is definitely not as good as that of Kazuki Oden at his peak, so Dai is not afraid of Golden Lion swordsmanship. Dai's current anti-air combat ability is a bit weak. The most difficult thing is that Golden Lion Shiki can control the earth and even seawater. This is very dangerous for Dai. Dai is not afraid of the Golden Lion's powerful attack, but he is worried about being trapped by the earth or seawater. If the Golden Lion uses several islands to trap the invincible Dai underground, it can suppress Dai like planetary devastation. Dai didn't know if he could break through. If it is thrown into the sea again, it will be even more impossible to save. If Dai got the lion fruit, he would definitely play better than the Golden Lion Shiki. In short, strategically despise the enemy and tactically pay attention to the enemy. After Dai kills the Order maintainer Elmo, it means that this island will become a hell. Even the seagulls and news birds in the sky were knocked down silently by Odinoko Van Oka. After these pirates landed on the island, they carried out a massacre, not only bounty hunters, but also the forces in the underground world. This shows their madness. This also reflects the unscrupulousness of Golden Lion Shiki. He dared to issue such a mission and offended many forces. But now, it saves the Big Daddy pirates a lot of effort. They only need to kill these pirates. In Bacardi Port, almost all pirate ships emitted billowing smoke, completely cutting off the pirates' chance to escape. What followed was endless massacre. The sea beast Moo, who had destroyed a large number of pirate ships, had already pulled the dreadnought battleship Saber to the open sea to watch the desperate cries of these pirates. Only Nami, Carmen, and a few candy girls were left on the boat to watch the boat. The remaining members were fighting on the island, and even Desire and Queen Sugar participated in the battle. On the island, Dai, who killed Elmo, began to use his new tricks to kill people. Cracker can use Paramecia Biscuit Fruit to synthesize powerful biscuit soldiers, and even has a little ability to act independently, unlike Doflamingo's string clone Shadow Knight string, which requires strings to control. Katakuri's special Paramecia Nanua fruit not only takes into account the glutinous body of the superhuman body, but also has the ability of creation after awakening and assimilating to the environment, which can generate a large number of new giant fists and various forms of limbs out of thin air. And weapons. Cracker, Doflamingo, Mr. 3 and others with Paramecia abilities only have the ability to create matter, but their bodies will not turn into biscuits, threads, or wax like special Paramecia. Apparently, the barrier fruit is just normal Paramecia, only able to create barriers and change shape. Chapter 63 Development of Barrier Fruit under Dai's control. His barrier turned into swords, guns, swords, halberds, shields, and even maces. In the original work, under the development of Bartolomeo, a gangster, most of the moves are one-sided protective barriers. Among them, moves such as barrier ball and barrier ladder can be made into spherical and ladder shapes, which is a breakthrough. Major development. After all, Bartolomeo and his gangsters are a group of illiterate idiots with no common sense in life and no navigation experience. Most things have to be called back to ask Grandma. After Bartolomeo obtained the barrier fruit with such a high starting point and almost no solution, he didn't know how to develop it. However, it does not require much development. After all, the barrier's unbreakable hardness alone is enough for him to travel across the Grand Line and reach the New World. There's no need to use your brain to develop it. Anyway, a barrier can deal with most enemies. The barrier ball was also developed as a tribute to the idle straw hat Luffy. The barrier pistol was later developed in reverse to become larger and could trap enemies. However, after Dai got the barrier fruit, if he could only develop to Bartolomeo's level, he might as well find a piece of tofu and kill him. Even though Mr. 3 doesn't have much physical talent, he can still develop so many tricks with wax fruit with his clever mind. His wax fruit, along with the scissor fruit and op fruit, are the only known fruits capable of opening sea stone handcuffs. I wonder if other creation abilities can be like wax fruit. These created things can ignore the influence of sea stone and open sea stone handcuffs without interference. It may be that wax fruit and string fruit have a low starting point and create materials with stronger plasticity, while the barrier created by barrier fruit has a high starting point and is more difficult to plasticize. But just because it's difficult doesn't mean it's impossible. Bartolomeo can develop a flowing barrier that looks like water and then undergoes various form changes. It shows that the plasticity of barrier fruits is quite strong, and there is no need to stick to one barrier. However, a protective barrier is indeed the most convenient, least labor-intensive, and quickest method to release. Barrier Shinra Tianzheng. Dai crossed his hands on his chest, and the middle and index fingers on his hands were also crossed. At this moment, Dai had veins popping out on his forehead. His eyes were scarlet, his arms were swollen, and the blood vessels all over his body were prominent. A transparent hemispherical barrier continued to expand with Dai as its origin. Wherever it went, not a single inch of grass grew, and even a layer of the ground was blown away. After a while, a large open space was completely cleared. Too slow. Dai was a little breathless looking at the damage he had caused, but he was not satisfied at all because the expansion speed of the barrier was a bit slow. It did not achieve the effect of Shinra Tianzheng at all, and it was too laborious. Dai quickly concluded that scraping the land was indeed a bit stupid. Although the visual effect was very good, it required a lot of energy and was not cost-effective at all. The terrifying, destructive power displayed by Dai at this moment has made these pirates more frightened and desperate, and some of them are already crying and wanting to surrender. The crew members of the Big Daddy Pirates also looked at Dai in shock as he used another terrifying move that they had never seen before. However, such a powerful move is indeed difficult to display on a pirate ship. If you can train the hemispherical expansion impact to the same speed as impacting the barrier, it will still be very powerful. Dai whispered that as long as he has a successful development direction, he can continue to strengthen. Moreover, his death dual cage seems to be able to be strengthened, and it can turn the cube into a hemispherical barrier. He feels that it can't be worse than Doflamingo's birdcage. Even string fruit's birdcage can block phone bug signals, so the barrier cage should also be able to block phone bug signals. This reminded Dai of the elevator in his previous life. If there was no signal repeater, there would be no signal. The phone bug signal couldn't even break through string fruit's birdcage, let alone a stronger barrier. Although such a massacre is cruel, this is the life of a pirate. Even Roger, the pirate king, was able to massacre the soldiers of a kingdom for his companions. Not to mention that Dai was only killing pirates who had done many evil things, and these pirates on Bacardi Island were massacred. Since Dai went to sea, he has been either killing pirates or gangsters. He rarely attacks civilians, except for a few enemies who bullied him in Logtown. Those Marines from the 16th branch of East Blue who colluded with the Dragon Pirates for their inaction deserve their death. As for the Marine fleet from the 8th branch of East Blue, this was a real battle between Marines and pirates. Even if they died, it could only be said that they had different stances. After all, Dai won't wait to be killed by Marine. The Roger Pirates have defeated Marines many times. Before the battle with the Whitebeard Pirates, they killed a Marine. Even Straw Hat Luffy released many vicious pirates from Impel Down. Is there anything right or wrong in this world? The world government can launch a buster call at will to destroy the island and exterminate the people. With a casual stroke of M's hand, the kingdom of Logia was destroyed. In this world, power is the rule. Just to slow down the news that he had killed Elmo, Dai decided to massacre the entire Bacardi Island pirate group. You can say that he is wrong and too cruel, but he has done it without any regret. This Bacardi Island has already experienced 2 massacres within a day or two. First, a large number of pirate groups massacred the bounty hunters and everyone on the island. And then the Big Daddy Pirates massacred these pirate groups. The massacre lasted most of the day. Now the island is filled with gunpowder smoke and corpses are everywhere. Giz's Badgers and the Catman brothers are excited to carry all the treasures from these broken pirate ships onto the dreadnought battleship Saber. Originally, these pirate groups had already looted the island, but now the Big Daddy Pirates just moved the treasures and loot on these pirate ships to another location. Captain, you've caused a lot of trouble this time, Baiji Kelluo said with a pale smile. He was also injured in the battle, except for Dai and Fan Oka. The other crew members were more or less injured. So in order to survive, practice hard and don't stop. Dai said with deep eyes, failure is not allowed on this pirate road. Failure means death. Maybe you need to keep a low profile lately. Van Oka said calmly. This captain has already committed massacres on the 2 initial islands. Such a murderous person, I really can't believe that he comes from the peaceful East Blue. Then let's settle down for a few days and go find Poison Q first. Dai also felt that these crew members needed to be adjusted and absorb the experience of these 2 battles so that their strength could be effectively enhanced. At this time, the massacre of the Big Daddy Pirates on Martel Island, the first rout, had slowly spread across the Grand Line. This news made Nico Robin, who was on Whiskey Island in Route 4, return directly to Alabasta. She did not want to provoke the murderer who had a bounty of hundreds of millions for the time being. Naval headquarters also learned that the Big Daddy Pirates had chosen the Martel Island route and immediately began to make some targeted interception arrangements against them. Chapter 64 Shinigami, Poison Q. A few days later, another piece of news began to spread wildly on Grand Line. The bounty hunters on Bacardi Island and everyone on the island were massacred by a large number of pirate groups because of the recruitment mission of the Golden Lions Thief Leader Association. However, these pirate groups were destroyed by unknown powerful groups. Marine and people in the underground world all believe that the Pirate Chief Association was created by Golden Lion Shiki. They have recruited the strongest pirate group who massacred all pirate groups. Because back then, Rox Pirate also held this kind of recruitment meeting to select strong players. So now not only Naval Headquarters is focusing on Golden Lion Shiki, but even the Dark Emperor of the underground world is a little disgusted with this unruly remnant of the era, and they have begun to secretly cut off Golden Lion Shiki's rare material channels. Unless Golden Lion goes out to grab it every day, their scientific research supplies will no longer be as rich and complete as before. But the people of the Flying Pirates were also angry. Only they knew that their people were also killed. Now, they're also tracking and looking for the murderer everywhere. Unexpectedly, this murderer was so ruthless that he killed all the pirates on the entire island. Aboard the dreadnought battleship Saber, a hemispherical transparent barrier continues to grow and shrink on the deck, shrinking and expanding faster and faster. Wayahaha! Who can get close to the captain with this trick? Giza's badges laughed and said that he'd been trying to integrate into this pirate group these days, and soon got mixed up with rough guys like Sonic Adrago and Iron Bear. On the other hand, Oda Nakashi Van Oka and Momoki Crow, a person with a good IQ, had some topics to talk about. Zoro continued to practice as always, especially when he saw Dai exercising desperately. He also followed suit and exercised crazily. And Dai actually really didn't want his sword, third-generation Kitetsu, and gave this demon sword to Zoro. After Zoro tried it out, he felt that third-generation Kitetsu was more suitable for him. So he gave the good sword Kashu to the swordsman Gorith. He also successfully conquered third-generation Kitetsu and even received a bit of ghost energy blessing. Under Dai's order, all members are practicing the two-color hockey. Whether they can awaken, it depends on their individual talents. Dai knew that Van Oka's observation hockey, Zoro and Badger's armament hockey would all be able to awaken and become stronger. After all, they're all senior cadres of the future Four Emperors group. As for the crew members, such as by Kikyo and Kimito Akin, who have been given very high settings by Oda and Mizuto, we have to see if they can live up to their expectations. Under the command of the navigator Nami, the sea beast Moo quickly sailed towards Green Island, where the permanent needle pointed. After this island, the next island along the record pointer is the legendary Plague Island, a terrifying island of death. Generally, the pirate groups sailing on this route will immediately leave this dangerous island and continue their adventure on the next island after storing enough magnetic power on the shore of Plague Island. Along the way, the Big Daddy pirates encountered several extreme storms, but fortunately, the navigator Nami successfully sensed them and escaped smoothly. The other crew members finally knew about this weak navigator's outstanding talent, and their eyes gradually grew to respect Nami. She is really not a vase beside Captain Dido. At this time, on the dangerous Plague Island, a very old-looking, slovenly man was riding a thin, light blue sick horse, and he himself looked seriously ill and dying. However, don't be deceived by his appearance, because many pirates have died at his hands. Shinigami, Poison Q, a pirate with a bounty of 72 million Baileys, is also a leader in the middle and front of the Grand Line. Zhuang, let's go. I have to say, the virus here is really good, Du Q said weakly, but the dangerous aura exuding from him at this moment was comparable to some big pirates with a bounty of hundreds of millions. Herodis, the sick horse Zhuang neighed feebly. Since he followed this master, he has been sick 3 times a day, but he still can't die because the master is a powerful doctor with abilities. The sicker it gets, the stronger its endurance and ability to withstand fights. I don't know what kind of treatment and transformation the owner has given it. They are both members of the Demon Horse family with IQs. Why did the Demon Horse Fururu get along so well with the pirate nobleman Cavendish? He even had the joint title of White Horse Cavendish. He was befriended by beauties every day. Surrounded by flowers, it stole the show. And I am accompanying this ugly master who has grown up to look old at a young age. You must know that this master is only 26 or 7 years old now, but he looks like a ghost in his 50s or 60s. Compared with a handsome guy like Cavendish, it makes me sad just thinking about it. Zhuang, with his tongue sticking out, ran quickly towards the shore with Poison Q on his back. Although it looked thin, its speed was not much worse than the demon horse Farilu. After seeing the small sailboat they had snatched from the shore, Zhuang and Du Q both jumped on it. Then a somewhat funny scene appeared. An old man and a sick horse were rowing at a fast speed. With the waves splashing, the boat moved at high speed under their rowing. This time I must get the longevity prescription from that witch. On the boat, Du Q said with a gloomy look on his face. He had stopped at Sigu Island, a major medical country, and wanted to learn advanced medical skills, but he did not expect that all the doctors in this country had been driven away. The remaining top doctors were in the hands of King Wapol, who was also expelled by the king's army for a time. Later, he learned that there was a witch doctor on Susanoo Island who had lived for more than 130 years and was still active and practicing privately everywhere. He wanted to study and study it. And of course, there was a bit of robbery. I just didn't expect that this witch doctor was so powerful. She cracked all his virus attacks. I was chased away by the witch doctor and was almost stabbed to death by the intensive flying knife skills. For this reason, he went to Plague Island specifically to strengthen his virus strength and prepare to go back for revenge. He even wanted to kill the king of Susanoo Island and steal the country's advanced medical skills. Now he wants to return to Green Island first, and then use the permanent pointer to return to Drum Island. In addition to avenging his shame, he also wants to completely rob their country of everything. However, he also lamented that if he could have a group of strong partners, things would be much easier to handle. But the people he targeted were all very unlucky, and they were all killed by his bomb apples. He didn't even need to use his virus power or draw out the Shinigami scythe. And isn't it just putting 9 bomb apples in 10 apples? These people's luck is too bad. With such a high probability, they have no hope of living. Only those who have survived a near-death life and have great strength can be qualified to become his captain. So until now, Shinigami Poison Q has not found the pirate group of his destiny. Chapter 65 Poison Q's Apple the Third Route Green Island. The Daddy Pirates' dreadnought battleship Saber entered the port of this island under the tug of the sea beast Moo Moo. Green Island, like Drum Island, is a cold winter island. The island is covered with snow for 8 or 9 months of the year, with only 3 or 4 months of warm weather for the islanders to grow food and allow the island's animals to reproduce. In this harsh environment, Green Island has no special industry to support its development, so no pirate group will stay here for long. Unlike Susanoo Island on the next flight route, it was previously world famous as a medical power, attracting many talents and developing its economy. However, all of this has now been destroyed by the stupid King Wapol. The situation on Drum Island may now be worse than Green Island. Captain, we don't have a permanent pointer to Plague Island, so we can only let the record pointer fill up Green Island's magnetism before we can go to Plague Island. This may require a week's stay. The navigator Nami, who was wearing a fashionable warm long coat, reported to Dai Dai that she had just disembarked from the ship to find out the magnetic storage time of this island. Let's see if there are any other pirate groups on this island. Dai Dai said calmly with his upper body naked, and then continued to exercise on the deck, letting the goose feather-like white snow float to his strong shoulders and then evaporated by the heat. What Captain Dai Dai means is that if there are other pirate groups that have stored magnetism or are close to the stored record pointers, snatch them away. Baiji Kelluo looked at his golden-framed eyes and immediately added an explanation. He knew that the captain didn't like to waste time. So that's it. That's so smart, Captain. Giza's badges and Ed Drago said excitedly. Now they can't wait to land on the island to cause trouble, give other pirate groups a showdown, and steal their record pointers. They are pirates, and stealing things is a normal thing. And now it's time to grab other pirate groups, which means there's a fight to be had. You don't need a captain for such a small matter. I believe you can handle it. Baiji Crow chuckled and said to these crew members, which immediately made Badgers, Edrago, and Steel Bear pat their chests to complete the matter. Nami, Desire, Queen Sweetheart, and Carmen also disembarked from the ship to purchase supplies under the protection of Ghost Mannequin and Catman Brothers. Whether it is island specialty products, clothes, food, or all kinds of supplies, they need to be replenished. After all, the Big Daddy Pirates are not short of money now. The Big Daddy Pirates, who had robbed 2 islands and dozens of pirates, had as much gold and silver as a cabin. Baiji Crow also got off the ship and went to collect information with Otonoshi Van Oka. On the boat, 2 cultivators, Dai Dai and Zoro, were watching the boat. However, there was the sea beast Moo Moo, and no islanders or pirates dared to approach this huge 3-decker sailboat. And with that black pirate flag, no weakling pirate group would dare to provoke this East Blue murderous maniac. At this time, a small boat was also approaching Green Island quickly. When Poison Q saw this huge pirate ship, he couldn't help but be a little curious. He was on Plague Island recently and didn't know the latest information about the Big Daddy Pirates. This flag seems to be the new star from East Blue. I didn't expect him to be on this route. It's really fate. Poison Q immediately became a little interested in the Big Daddy Pirates. According to the previous newspaper description, this seemed to be a brutal pirate group famous for its massacres. This pirate style was somewhat suitable for him. Now that you've met it, let's test our fate. I don't know if his bounty matches his strength. I hope it's not mixed with too much waste pirate group. Zhuang, get up. Poison Q, who is a brave master of arts, is not afraid of this newbie pirate group. I wonder if Big Daddy Babaya is lucky enough to survive in his hands. After hearing the master's order, the skinny horse actually ran vertically onto the huge pirate ship, carrying Poison Q on his back. The sea beast Moo Moo also roared after discovering them, and these movements made Dai Dai and Zoro, who were concentrating on training, frown. Does anyone really dare to cross the sea beast Moo Moo to provoke them? Captain, do you need to eat an apple? Zhuang had already boarded the deck of the dreadnought battleship Saber with Poison Q on his back. After seeing Dai Dai and Zoro, he asked them with a basket of apples, like a little old man selling apples. Dai Dai didn't expect this guy to come to his door. What's wrong with this world? Have you awakened the protagonist's halo? He walked directly towards the old man-looking Shinigami Poison Q. Eat one first. Prove that you are qualified to live. Dai Dai suddenly grabbed Do Q's collar with his right hand and lifted it up. Then he picked up an apple at random with his left hand and put it towards Do Q's mouth. And Poison Q didn't expect that Dai Dai would not follow the routine. He tried his best to break free, but found that the opponent's strength was extremely strong and he could not escape at all. He immediately activated the ability of the disease fruit, and the silent virus surged towards Dai Dai, but a barrier ball appeared in Dai Dai's right hand, instantly covering Poison Q, completely covering him. Dai Dai's right hand was still holding Poison Q, and his dark armor was defending against Poison Q's virus attack. Why? Don't you believe in your luck? Dai Dai laughed and said, and then under Do Q's panicked and confused eyes, he put the apple in his left hand into his mouth and bit it. However, there was no explosion. Shinigami, Poison Q, are you interested in being the ship's doctor on my ship? While eating the apple, Dai Dai said to Poison Q with a smile, but his tone was full of irresistibility, and everyone could hear what would happen if he refused. Poison Q really didn't expect that his test would take several turns, but it was obvious that this guy had recognized him and also knew about his exploding apple trap. However, Dai Dai's luck was really good. He actually got the only normal apple, and he was stronger than himself. He was not the kind of bounty that was piled up through massacre. Is this the new captain he is destined to be? Isn't this the guidance of fate? My captain. Shinigami Poison Q smiled and put away the various viruses, then lowered his head and whispered to Dai Dai. Yes, this is life. Poison Q. Actually, as soon as you got on the boat, I knew we had found the right person. Dai Dai laughed and said, after he unlocked the barrier ball, he put Poison Q back on the thin horse's strong back. Captain Dai Dai knew that there was a bomb in my apple, but he still dared to eat it. His courage and luck can't be deceived. Do Q increasingly believed that this young newcomer king might be the one he wanted to wait for. As for why Dai Dai was able to choose a normal apple, it might be luck, or it might be observation hockey. Of course, it might also be the confidence given to him by armament hockey and the barrier fruit. Anyway, just bite it. Chapter 66 Ship Dr. Poison Q Dai didn't expect to have recruited the ship's doctor, Poison Q, so quickly, so they didn't need to go to Plague Island anymore. After a conversation with Do Q, Dai learned that this guy was going to Tsugu Island because there was something he wanted on the island there. Captain, that which has really lived for more than 130 years. Doesn't the captain want to steal the secret of longevity? Poison Q said with an expectant look on his face. You must know that he is only in his 20s now and is not even a fraction of that witch. The key is that he cannot beat that witch. Now that he is on Dai Dai's pirate ship with a team, he can no longer decide his own actions in the future, but has to leave it to the captain Dai to make the final decision. It just so happens that Drum Island also has the tool man I want. Dai thought of Wapple's Munch Munch fruit. The Wapple alloy created by this guy in the future has become popular all over the world. Even Frankie's robot general uses this alloy. Wapple alloy has been unanimously recognized by many scientists, which shows its superiority. The down-and-out Wapple also made a fortune by relying on this alloy, rebuilding the Black Iron Bucket Kingdom in South Blue. He also quickly gained the attention of the world government and joined the World Summit as one of the 50 countries. It only took Wapple 2 years to go from 0 to one of the 50 most powerful kings. It is indeed the guidance of fate, Captain Dai. Duq's old face also showed a sickly smile. Since Dai also has his own goals and is also on Sigu Island, everything will be easier to handle. Dai smiled calmly and could not deny it. Then the ship's doctor, please give me a full body examination to see if there are any hidden injuries. Dai had already found a sun lounger and lay down, letting Poison Q play the role of ship's doctor. Hiring a ship's doctor was just to ensure his own health. As you command, my captain. Poison Q also wanted to see how powerful this young captain was. He has been playing the Grand Line in the past few years. Although he has heard of hockey, this is the first time he has seen Dai Duo using armament hockey, which can actually completely prevent him from being attacked by the virus. The captain's physique is very strong, but he seems to be a little overtrained and needs to rest properly. As a doctor, you can doubt Duq's conscience, but you cannot doubt his professional skills. It is as expected. Dai seemed to have already guessed, but there was no doctor on the ship before, and he didn't know how to recuperate, so he could only continue to exercise. Don't worry, Captain. Just leave these small problems to me. Poison Q said in a relaxed tone that these problems were not problems in his eyes. He had given himself and Zhuang many treatments over the years. Of course, otherwise I wouldn't have asked you to be the ship's doctor. Dai also chuckled, seemingly full of trust and approval for Poison Q. After hearing this sentence, Duq really recognized ID as the captain more and more. With this kind of trust and courage, it seemed that he was really not afraid of him, the notorious Dr. Shinigami. Dai did not call Chongzhong to ask Crow and Nami to come back, but just let them spend a day on Green Island. And he wants to have a good communication with this Dr. Shinigami and truly conquer this black-hearted doctor. On a ship, chefs and doctors are important positions. Dui was a little more kind to them than the rest of the crew. Soon, Baiji Kelluo and Odanakashi Van Oka took the lead in inquiring about the news and came back. When they saw this sloppy old doctor, they knew that there was no need to go to Plague Island. However, they're too lazy to stop Badgers and Adrago from grabbing the record pointer. They also need to keep fighting other pirate groups in order to continue to grow. Duq and Fan Oka, two people who both believe in fate, are gathered on Dai's ship because of fate. That made them even more convinced that this might really be their destiny. And the sick horse stood on the bow of the boat, seeming to be mooing to the sea beast. In addition to carrying its owner, it actually also rode. But later, it can finally be enjoyed. It and Poison Q ended their wandering life of rowing and boarded a big boat. After Badgers and the others came back after snatching the record pointer, the purchasing team of Nami and Desire also returned. No need to go to Plague Island? Is this our new ship's doctor? These crew members were a little suspicious of Duq, the slovenly and sickly ship doctor, and felt that he could be killed with one punch. But soon, thick men like Badgers and E-Drag fell down and cried out in pain, holding their stomachs with pale faces. That's it, Poison Q. Dai didn't care that Poison Q showed off his skills to these crew members and let them see how strong this rookie ship doctor, who had a bounty of 72 million Baileys, was. After Poison Q came on board, the position with the second highest bounty changed hands again, higher than Van Oka's 64 million Baileys. This made Zoro and Crow even more determined to increase the bounty quickly. Otherwise, the old crew members like them will be crushed by these newcomers. Depart from Drum Island. Seeing that all the crew members had returned, Dai immediately ordered to set off. Nami, the navigator holding the permanent pointer of Drum Island, once again directed the sea beast to move forward on the bow. But soon, Nami didn't know what method he used, but he managed to ride on the thin horse in zhuang, jumping quickly around the bow and stern of the ship and letting out a series of laughter. Zhuang also neighed excitedly, using his speed to ultimate, as if to prove his true strength, and even jumped onto the second floor of the ship. It is really not a thin dog, but a powerful demon horse. Even the owner of the horse, Du Q, was surprised. This orange-haired little girl just used a little trick, a provocation, and a little threat to fool this monster horse so quickly. Impossible, his old horse can't become so stupid. Its IQ should be able to distinguish the little girl's cleverness. Does this navigator have other special abilities? Is it possible that it just wants to carry young girls, instead of always looking at you? A bad old man. Baiji Kelluo saw Poison Q's expression. He adjusted his glasses, and then said lightly, he seemed to see a bit of lust and excitement in the skinny horse's face. However, life has lost its color when faced with Du Q's sickly face every day. Now Nami, a young girl, has rekindled her expectations for life. Which demon horse doesn't want to live a colorful and gorgeous life like the demon horse Falulu? Poison Q seems to have suffered a critical blow, and his beloved horse Zhuang will definitely not dislike him. After all, they have shared the joys and sorrows for almost 10 years. Du Q glanced at Crow, then at the old horse who was having fun. Shuzi, don't try to break my Taoist heart. My relationship with Zhuang is not something outsiders like you can understand. Chapter 67 Invasion of Drum Island the next day. Under the guidance of the permanent pointer, the fearless battleship Saber, pulled by the sea beast Moo, has successfully arrived in the waters of Drum Island. The crew members were all excited because this time they were preparing to attack a country that had joined the world government and to capture their king. Even girls like Nami and Carmen were disgusted with this cruel king after learning about Wapple's atrocities. King Wapple of the Drum Island expelled the country's doctors, retaining only the best 20 doctors and firmly controlling them. As long as the subjects of this country are sick, they have no other choice but to kneel down and beg Wapple for mercy. However, there is another witch doctor who has slipped through the net and has been evading the pursuit of the king's army. However, this witch charges extremely high fees, and most people cannot afford to treat her. This time Die and Poison Q's targets are King Wapple and the witch doctor. When the Big Daddy pirate's ship approached the port of Susanoo Island, the king's army of the Iron Bucket Kingdom launched countless artillery attacks on the pirate ship. Located on Tsigu Mountain, 5 kilometers away, the capital of the Tiegu Kingdom was established here. At this time, in the Drum City, King Wapple was picking his nose with a bored look on his face, and then gave an order to the kingdom's chief of staff, Jess, to have the soldiers kill this hateful pirate group quickly. The sound of artillery fire had already disturbed him. Yes, Your Majesty. Kingdom advisor, Jess, immediately called Kingdom Affairs Officer Kramerman to deal with these trash pirates who knew nothing about the world. In Geistar, a small town on the lakeside in the north of Drum Island, Dr. Kaleha's home is now here. Dr. Dory, are there pirates coming again? An upright little reindeer wearing a pink hat asked excitedly to a skinny old woman. It had always wanted to see the real pirate group. Because Dr. Shillick once encouraged Chopper to go to sea and explore the vast world in the future. The sound of gunfire was a little long this time. It seems that a really powerful pirate group has arrived. Dr. Kaleha looked towards the port with a little worry. She knew exactly what the situation in this country was now. After Wapple expelled the doctors and implemented tyranny, without the blessing of the status of a medical power, this country has been abandoned by the world government. Even Marine is too lazy to come and take a look, but the heavenly gold must continue to be paid. Really? Then let's go and see it, Reindeer Chopper said excitedly. It would be great if he could meet a group of interesting pirates. Chopper, you have to know that most pirates are thugs who do evil things. Going to sea is not as fun as you think. Dr. Kaleha sighed and said, it seems that Dr. Cyriluk has too much influence on Chopper, but this stupid son is too simple and not suitable to become a pirate at all. But she also understands Chopper's desire to explore the world and make a panacea. I think back then, who would have embarked on the road of going to sea just for the sake of passion? Not to mention the pirate King Roger. Even the pirate overlord Rox is just a junior in the eyes of Dr. Correja. I just want to check it out, Chopper said lowly. He seemed to be very unsure of himself. There was no way that he, a non-human monster, would be accepted by human pirates. Let's go. Let's go see what kind of pirate group they are. Dr. Kaleha took a sip of wine and walked out of the room, and Chopper followed him immediately. At this time, at the port of Tsigoo Island, sonic laser cannons and huge wind blades had penetrated these king's troops. Dai Dai landed on the island amidst the roar of artillery fire. At this moment, he was holding the head of a king's soldier with his left hand, carrying the soldier who had rolled his eyes as he walked forward and slapped away a cannonball at will with his right hand. Behind them are many crew members of the Big Daddy Pirates, showing off their magical powers and constantly defeating these king's troops. The staff officer Jess and the clerk Chromaman, who rushed over in a hurry, were chopped off by Zoro and smashed away by Barjas before Dai Dui could take action. Captain, just follow me Van Oaken, Crow. Let's go deal with that witch. Poison Q saw that the crew members of the Big Daddy Pirates were all very strong and felt that they would not be hunted down by the witch this time. Bring on the Iron Bear as a human shield. Dai Dai didn't know the true strength of Dr. Kaleha, but he always felt that this old woman was not simple. He suspected that Poison Q's trouble with Dr. Kaleha this time would still come back in vain. Thank you, Captain. Poison Q immediately called for help and then led his team to snatch the secret of longevity from Dr. Kaleha. At this time, a bison collided with Dai Dai and the others with a ferocious momentum. Giza's Bajis jumped forward with excitement on his face, grabbed the horns of the bison, and then put his head on the bison's head, forcibly blocking the charge of the bison, leaving 2 feet behind his feet. The road marks deep ravines. Wayhaha! Zoan Demon Fruit Power. Badgers grabbed the bison in green clothes by its horns, but unexpectedly, the next moment the opponent turned back to its half-animal form and swung a huge ring-edged shovel towards it, causing Badgers to laugh and retreat. Hey, big guy, armed enemy, leave it to me. Seeing Badgers being repulsed, Zoro immediately smiled and snatched away the Esper enemy, wielding a chakra blade shovel. This enemy is very powerful and can just be his enemy. Then the pirate hunter Zoro fought with Dalton, the former captain of the Kingdom Guard, and Badgers, the newcomer, could only deal with the other king's army soldiers. When the soldiers reported the war situation at the port to King Wapple, the king of Tsigoo Island was so frightened that he immediately ran away, escaped from Tsigoo City, and rushed to another port. They want to escape immediately on the White Iron King, a large diving sailboat. On the other side, Dr. Kaleha and Chopper also saw the tragic situation at the port. Especially after seeing Poison Q's team, they knew that these pirates could not be good people. Chopper, these pirates are not for you, and we need to hide. The 2 people who were observing in the dark immediately hurried home, packed their things, and left quickly. The Big Daddy Pirates have been very popular recently, and even Dr. Correja is paying attention to them, a vicious pirate who massacred Martel Island. However, Q brought people to the house to look for trouble, but he could only get away with it. With a look of helplessness, he searched for some medical books, destroyed the houses, and left. Dai Dai was also at the foot of Tsiga Mountain and blocked Wapple, who was escaping with Dr. 20. How could he let this alloy tool man escape? He wants this munch fruit-capable person to continuously produce wobble alloy for him, a widely used and precious shape memory alloy. And since you have met these top doctors, you can take them on board, by the way, take care of them for a while, and help Dai Dui get a comprehensive treatment and maintenance. After finding the site, they will be settled down, continue to study medical skills, and recreate the grandeur of a medical power. Chapter 68, Encounter with the Remnants of the Walled Pirates inside another port on Tsigoo Island. When Dai Dai saw this large, diving, raiding sailboat, he took it as his auxiliary ship without saying a word. Maybe it could be put to use in the future. This huge wooden sailboat can actually deform and dive into the sea, which somewhat subverts Dai Dai's logic. But considering that this is the world of One Piece, it all makes sense. I don't know if there is any special science and technology on it. If it all relies on Wapple's fruit ability to transform, then there will be no copying value. At this time, Wapple stood behind Dai with a bruised nose and a swollen face, bowing his head like a child who had made a mistake, without any trace of the arrogance of a king. He is now just a low-level prisoner of the Big Daddy Pirates, a tool man who produces alloys. The high-end medical facilities and various medical books in Tsigu City were constantly moved onto the Iron King by these king's troops. Even Wapple's small treasury was completely ransacked by Nami and Desire. The robbery lasted most of the day. When all the pirates of the Big Daddy Pirates boarded the ship and left, Nami deliberately stayed at the end. Actually, we are good people this time and help you get rid of a troublesome king. Please work hard and live well in the future. Nami leaned over gently, smiled, and said to Dalton, who was beaten to the ground, and then ran onto the boat with a happy face under Dalton's eyes. Today, the Big Daddy Pirates definitely did something good, just like when Dai liberated her hometown of Kokoja Village. Dai didn't care whether he had done something good or not. Anyway, he got his target, Wapple, and robbed the kingdom's treasure. It's just that Poison Q didn't find what he wanted, and he never found the witch doctor who was hiding. But he had no choice but to give up. After all, the voyage would continue. Because of the addition of a huge pirate ship, the sailing speed of the Big Daddy Pirates has slowed down a little. Under Dai's intimidation, Wapple began to conduct devouring experiments with various metals or ores, striving to develop shape memory alloys as soon as possible, and then build his own base camp, or sell them at high prices. The crew members of the Big Daddy Pirates have entered into medium to high-intensity training, as always. Dai has also deliberately started holding Seastone weapons to continuously hone his resistance to Seastone. This kind of practice allows people to not lose all their strength immediately when exposed to Seastone, but they will definitely no longer be able to use the Devil Fruit ability. Because the purity of these ordinary Seastone weapons bought in East Blue is not very high, they are all inferior Seastone products of the lowest grade. Therefore, it is very suitable for training Seastone resistance, and you can completely hone it to the point where you won't lose much strength even if you touch it. In the Wanakuni Seastone mine, those prisoners with powerful abilities wear low-purity Seastone handcuffs, which not only limits their ability to use Devil Fruit, but does not affect their strength to move bricks and do hard work. During this period of time, the Big Daddy Pirates were still on various routes, using permanent pointers to make irregular landings. After going to the island to fight the pirates, they would grab things and then leave so that Marine could not find them at all. A week later, the non-route C area is among the 5th and 6th routes. Captain Dai, it seems he has met a great guy. Standing on the watchtower at the top of the mast, Inu fan Oka shouted loudly to Dai. His super long sight allowed him to detect the abnormality in advance. Originally, they planned to go to Route 6 to look for a pirate this time, but they didn't expect to encounter a big guy on these non-route seas where there are few people. This is actually an island ship. As the Big Daddy Pirates continue to approach, all the crew finally see its true face in Lushan. The bow alone is already larger than the dreadnought battleship Saber. It's actually them, the remnants of the walled pirates. Dai was a little surprised and said, just looking at the pirate logo on the bow of this huge island ship, the golden beard looks like a W shape. This is the pirate logo of the walled pirates. However, now Bernie World is still frozen in prison on the 6th floor of Impel Down, and these remnants of the world pirates can only hide in remote places in the Grand Line. However, among Bernie Wald's cadres, not only were they loyal, they actually had some skills. They actually combined Wald's Momo Fruit ability to design this huge cannon island ship, the Gullo CD. To be able to make so much money over the years, build this island ship, and still be willing to wait for the prisoner Bernie Wald, this loyalty is really beyond words. World Destroyer Bernie Wald? It's really an ancient name. Weren't they already defeated by the world government 20 or 30 years ago? Baiji Crow frowned and said slowly. As the think tank on the ship, he had reviewed the information on all pirate groups since the Rocks era. This famous world destroyer. He was very impressed because they dared to attack the celestial dragons. Wait, what are you waiting for? It's just a bunch of old guys. Let's go grab this island ship. Giza's badges immediately said excitedly, it would be great to get such a big island ship, and this pirate journey would be worth it. Everyone looked at Dai Dai, waiting for the captain to issue an order. Then rob them, Dai Dai said quietly. Because of his arrival, he didn't know if Straw Hat Luffy could safely sail to the Sabati archipelago. After all, the navigator Nami was already on Dai Dai's ship. I don't know if Straw Hat Luffy will cause an impel down, because wearing stacks later will interfere with more major events. So whether Bernie Wald can escape from prison remains to be seen. And even if he can come out, Dai Dai's strength will not be as weak as it is now. What's more, Bernie Wald always thought that his crew had betrayed him, and he had no idea that these remnants of the Wald pirates were still persisting and even built an island ship. Long live the captain! Badgers and E-Drag looked at the island ship excitedly. They suddenly discovered that the dreadnought battleships Saber and Iron King looked too petty. Their Big Daddy pirates will definitely develop into a large pirate group, so this island ship can just become their main ship. This is no worse than 7 Warlords of the Sea Gecko Moria's thriller bark, and even more suitable for development. And on board the Golosciety, Biojack, the deputy captain and think tank of the Walder Pirates, also discovered the 2 uninvited guests of the Big Daddy Pirates by monitoring the phone bug. It appears this location is no longer safe. The frail Biojack, hanging on a hanging bottle, murmured a little feebly that he didn't know how long he could last with this endless waiting, because he was almost 80 years old and his health was getting worse. Garum, Nakin, Sebastian, deal with them. We have to move positions. Biojack immediately picked up a phone bug, coughed, and issued commands to his 3 partners one after another. Chapter 69 attack on the Golosciety. Garum, who was on the right engine of the island ship, Nakin, who was on the left engine, and Sebastian, who was guarding the port gate, all took action. Garum, who has 2 cube-shaped hairstyles on his head, directly activated the giant cannon of the Golosciety. They have to deal with these 2 unlucky pirate ships at once, and then continue their development in another sea area, waiting for Bernie Wald's return. Sebastian, the giant scorpion fish wearing sunglasses, immediately jumped into the sea, ready to eliminate the survivors of the pirate group at any time, leaving no one alive to avoid exposing their whereabouts. As a hybrid of a fishman and a giant, he is tall and good at fighting. His eyes have already been blinded in countless battles, but his observation haki has also become much stronger. However, just as he jumped into the sea, he suddenly felt 3 fatal bullets being fired at him. With nowhere to rely on in the air, he could only twist his body to avoid vital points, and with a strong physique, he was able to block the 3 bullets, but 3 blood flowers still spattered out. But he also successfully entered the sea, aboard the dreadnought battleship Saber. It's a bit troublesome. A strong fishman has entered the sea. Odanakashi Van Oka immediately said to Dai Dui that in addition to his observation haki talent, he is also strengthening his physical fitness and hopes to quickly armament haki. If armament haki can be attached to bullets, neither these ability users nor enemies with strong defenses can stop his precise shooting skills. I'll go into the sea and stop him. The pirate hunter Zoro and the fighting champion Badgers and other non-powered people all asked for a fight. Isn't he just a fishman who was shot? They have the confidence to fight the fishmen in the sea. Let me do it. Zhuang, tell Mumu to back off. I'm going to use my powers. Shinigami Do Q said sickly, and then the demon horse Zhuang ran to the bow of the ship, akimbo, and let the sea beast move back 1,000 meters. I saw Do Q pouring some powder into the sea. The sea water did not change much, but giant fish and sea beasts were already whitening their bellies. What a solid bunch of guys. Dai Dai chuckled and said, indeed, none of the future cadres and members of the 4 Emperors group are vegetarians. What is professional? Look, this is called professional. There is no need for Captain Dai Dai to act as a nanny. They can solve most of the troubles themselves. The purpose of recruiting crew members is not to protect them, but to let these crew members play their role. In the original book, even a reckless man like Badgers was able to sneak into the headquarters of the Revolutionary Army, White Earth Island Baldigo, after being injured and then called the Blackbeard pirates to bring all the troops to destroy them. At this time, a huge black cannonball was fired at the dreadnought battleship Saber. Sonic Cannon, Tornado Blade, the two turret crew members, Sonic E-Drag and Tornado Eric, also immediately played their roles. Whether it's offense or defense, their long-range attacks can be done with ease. The huge cannonball detonated in advance in the air. The violent explosion illuminated the entire sea surface, and the sound waves and shock waves created huge waves more than 10 meters high. The two pirate ships of the Big Daddy Pirates were shaking violently in the huge waves. We still need some large-scale AoE moves to break these waves and tsunamis. Dai began to think about those powerful moves. It seemed that the Giants' combined skills Hakoku and Hai, as well as the single-body skills Waigwa, could easily blast away these huge waves. I may have to go back to Little Garden later to find an opportunity to learn these tricks from Dory and Bragi. In the future, these two giants finally have a good record. With one move of Hakoku, they took Kid, who had a bounty of 3 billion belly, and all members of his Kid Pirates offline. However, these giants are fierce and will not easily surrender this kind of Elbaf stunt. Even if they are killed, they may not be willing to teach foreigners. Dai looked at Zoro again. If he became a great swordsman, he could also split the sea. But Dai soon smiled. As long as he was strong enough and became a 4 Emperors level expert, he could split the sea and split the sky, no matter what his moves, Devil Fruit abilities, or sword skills were. Just charge up and level A. Here we go again. Everyone in the Big Daddy Pirates saw the island ship firing several huge cannonballs. When Ed Drago and Eric couldn't handle it, the Captain Dai finally took action. A giant barrier hand appeared, swatting away several cannonballs, which landed on the distant sea and exploded. 2 pirate ships also quickly approached the island ship. On the other side, Scorpion Giant Sebastian, with a pale face, struggled to climb onto the Golosidi. He now felt weak and extremely uncomfortable, as if he was seriously ill. If his physique hadn't been strong enough, he would have died like those fish and sea beasts floating on the sea with their belly turned white. However, now he has completely lost his fighting ability. Under the command of Yaoma Zhuang, the sea beast Moo made a big detour before coming back again. He continued to pull the dreadnought battleship Saber and quickly rushed towards the island ship. Aboard the Golosidi, Biojack, there's a strong person on the other side. Sebastian has been hit. The ship's doctor, Nakin, and the combatant, Garum, both shouted anxiously. They didn't expect that there were pirates on the opposite side who could block their island ship's cannon. You must know that this is only the first half of the Grand Line Park. How could I meet such a powerful pirate group in a place like this? It's the Big Daddy Pirates, the most popular newcomer in East Blue this year. Those with barrier fruit abilities have a bounty of hundreds of millions. Biojack finally saw clearly the flag of the pirate group on the opposite side while monitoring the phone bug, which made him immediately feel something bad. Naakin, Garum, turn on the power of the left and right turbines to the maximum. We will retreat first. Biojack said, a little panicked. Now they are weak. The only people who can still fight are Naakin and Garum. Even the giant scorpion fish Sebastian has fallen. Biojack, there's no way we can outrun them. Engineer and combatant Garum frowned and said, as the designer and builder of this island ship, he was well aware of the power situation of the Golosidi. There is no way this can outrun the Big Daddy Pirates with their sea beasts pulling boats. Then are you sure you can trap them? Biojack said with a little despair. He had waited hard for most of his life and spent all his efforts and wealth to build this island ship. But he did not expect that he would not wait for Burndy Wald's return in the end. I try my best, Garum said solemnly. As a user with Paramecia Cube Fruit ability, most of the things on this island ship were built bit by bit using his abilities. Chapter 70 Cube Fruit Power, user Garum's control of the Golosidi is just like that of Stone Fruit Pika's control of Dressrosa's King's Heights. He can master everything. He can use the cubic fruits to change the terrain and buildings inside the Golosidi at will, and set up a large number of traps. Then we can only let them land and hope they won't cause too much damage. Prepare terrain traps to separate them, and then we use alloy chambers to trap them one by one. Biojack gritted his teeth and said that now he can only trust Garam's devil fruit ability. After all, he is just a thin old guy with zero combat power. Clear. Garam immediately left the engine room on the right side, starting from the gate of the Golosidi, and transformed countless cubic passages, preparing to separate the Big Daddy pirates bit by bit, and then kill or trap them one by one. The ship's doctor, Naakin, had already worked hard to drag Sebastian back to his Chinese medicine treatment room to give a giant scorpion fish emergency treatment. What a terrible virus! The serious illness Sebastian contracted made Naakin feel very troublesome. There must be a powerful poison doctor on the opposite side. Naakin could only keep injecting nutrients and various Chinese medicines into Sebastian to barely save his life. But it was impossible for him to regain his fighting strength and join the battle. Moreover, these 3 bullet wounds have festered, and coupled with the terrifying viruses and toxins, they are already in a highly dangerous state. At this moment, this old woman, who was almost 80 years old, also felt infinite sadness. As she cleaned the wound, she sobbed from time to time. Their life is too bitter, even more bitter than her Chinese medicine. Captain Wald was arrested and imprisoned for nearly 30 years, and the waiting time for them was a long, long time. They have always supported each other and never gave up hope. For the captain, they built this island ship with hope. But this time, they really don't know if they can still hold on to the Golosidi. Seeing that Sebastian, who was like a family member, was seriously injured, she felt sad and angry. On the front of the island ship, 2 pirate ships of the Big Daddy pirates have docked and connected with the huge island ship, and there are several giant anchors connecting them together. Wait-ha-ha! Landing! Grab them! The crew members, such as Giza's badges, rushed onto the island ship with excitement on their faces, as if they already regarded the island ship as the trophy of the Big Daddy pirates. There is a cube fruit user among them who can change the terrain. You guys can do whatever you want, Dai casually said to these overly excited crew members. If they die here, they can only blame them for their fate. Then he also boarded this green island ship, which was full of trees and looked like a castle. It was almost like a tourist island. This doesn't look like a pirate ship at all. Maybe it's also a disguise. Clear. After these crew members responded, they began to form a team to explore the island and look for the enemies inside. Even Dai could only slowly search for the hiding place of the remnants of the Walled Pirates. He activated observation hockey and stepped into the island's various passages specially prepared for enemies. That fishman should have no fighting power. Now we only need to capture the cube fruit user. Then this island ship will be the spoils of the Big Daddy pirates. It seems like it would be good to use this island ship as a mobile site. Dai chuckled and said, before taking down Sky Island and Ark's Proverbs, this island ship was indeed a good base. As the crew of the Big Daddy pirates entered the interior of the Golosidi, the passages and buildings inside were like building blocks, moving around and changing the terrain. Some crew members just turned a corner and got separated from the group. Then, various attacks came from inside, trying to blast away these changing walls. Then go to hell, these little brats. Rubik's Cube Chaos. Garam slapped the ground, and the entire ground cracked into various blocks and fell, trapping Zoro and Edrago, who were separated from the team, into a trap on the next level. Rubik's Cube Acceleration Block. The entire wall turned into cubes of various sizes, accelerating and slamming into the Big Daddy pirates. Guard the barrier. Dai instantly put up a barrier to block these rock blocks, while Bajis rushed forward angrily and hit the old man hard. Totem Rubik's Cube. Garam jumped onto the suspended cube in the air, easily dodged Badger's attack, and then slapped Badger's in the air with his palm. I saw that Badger's entire body would be compressed into a human cube in an instant, and then he would be kicked out by Garam. A very hard barrier. Air Rubik's Cube. After Garam kicked Badger's away, he saw that his accelerating cube couldn't break the barrier. And then he began to compress into a cube in the air and threw it towards Dai. Dai also stared slightly at Garam's movements, which were exactly the same as the movements of Bartholomew Bear's air compression cannon. It's just that the big bear can slowly compress as much air as a mountain into a small bear paw in its hand. Now, Garum can only compress as much air as a small house into an air cube in his hand. The air cube and Dai Dai's protective barrier erupted violently again, raising countless dust. Garum squinted at the smoke. When the smoke dissipated, a semicircular shield appeared in front of him intact. I have to say that your development of this cubic fruit has been highly recognized by me. Dai Dai smiled and said to Garum, "This old man has developed the cube fruit to a very deep extent. If only he could have the same powerful physique and talent as Bartholomew Bear." The cube of air compressed by his cube fruit is comparable to the big bear's island-destroying bear paw shockwave. You still can't break it. Garum immediately rushed into the wall. Now all his attacks were ineffective against Dai Dai, so he could only trap them through the alloy cube chamber. After all, strong defensive power does not mean that his offensive power is also strong. The worst-case scenario would be to pour seawater into the alloy chamber and drown them alive. Now that you're here, don't leave, Dai Dai grinned and said. After beating the person and pretending to compete, he wanted to leave. There is no such thing as such a good thing. If Garum had been hiding behind the wall and manipulating various cubic terrains to besiege the Big Daddy pirates, Dai Dai might still find it a little difficult. But now that Garum has appeared in front of him, he definitely can't run away. Barrier, Death Battle Cage. A barrier appeared in front of the wall, causing Garum, who wanted to rush into the wall to hit a big bag, and then the barrier quickly expanded and closed. Wrap Dai Dai, Garum, and everyone in a barrier space cage. Chapter 71 Capture all the remnants of the walled pirates. Biojack, who was in the surveillance room, suddenly became anxious when he saw that Garum, the only counterattack point, was trapped by Dai Dui. Even the cube fruit ability can't deal with the Big Daddy pirates, so the ship's Dr. Nakin and this good-for-nothing old man like him can't defeat these intruders even more. In the trap at the lower level of the cubic passage, Zoro and Edrag were already fighting against the ship's Dr. Nakin. The two of them were given headaches by the various medicines given by the female doctor of traditional Chinese medicine. Now, they were fighting with their breaths closed. This nearly 80-year-old woman actually regained her youthful appearance of 20 or 30 years old after taking a bunch of unknown Chinese medicines. A powerful Chinese medicine boxing technique in the thick mist of the medicine made Zoro and Edrag a little busy dealing with it. But soon, the pirate hunter Zoro entered a serious state, using the three-knife tornado to blow away the thick fog of the medicine, and blocked the female ship doctor of the walled pirates alone. With Sonic Edragon playing support next to her, this rejuvenated old woman is already at a disadvantage and is expected to be defeated by Zoro soon. And inside the Death Battle Cage barrier on the upper level, Garum wanted to turn Dai Duo's barrier into a cube and then open an escape route, but found that his cube fruit was completely powerless against these hard barriers. What a pity for this cubic fruit, Dai Dai said softly. Not only was this old man a bit old, but he was also a die-hard crew member of Bernie Wald, making it almost impossible to recruit him. However, through the threats of other remnants of the walled pirates, he was forced to help do some things and give the island ship a second transformation in line with the style of the Big Daddy pirates. However, it would be nice if there was a way to recycle Devil Fruit's abilities. Now, in addition to Dark Fruit's special abilities, I wonder if Geisa Kalan's technique of recycling Devil Fruit on Punk Hazard Island will work. Dai Dai remembered Geisa, but through some method, he successfully recovered the Zoan Salamander fruit with a basket of apples. It seems that in the future, even if he offends Doflamingo, he will still have to grab these technologies from Guy. He even directly snatched Geisa, a user with Logia gas fruit ability. However, Geisa, a black-hearted scientist, not only defrauded the four emperors Ani of funds to conduct a massive experiment, but was also responsible for manufacturing the artificial Zoan Devil Fruit sad substance needed by Kaido of the Beasts. Without these sad substances, Doflamingo would not be able to grow the Smile artificial Zoan Devil Fruit, even if it enslaved the small humans. That is to say, touching Geisa means offending 1, 7 warlords of the sea and 2, 4 emperors. It's a bit exciting and crazy just thinking about it. Looking at Garum, who looked nervous, Dai had already planned to capture and imprison all the defeated ability users in the future, and then kill them when he obtained the technology to recover the Devil Fruit ability. Now that I think of Largo and Spike, they seem to have been killed a little too quickly, which is a pity. They should have been captured in the first place. If they didn't surrender, they would have been imprisoned forever. Still a little moody, Garum was completely isolated from the outside world because of the barrier cage. He could not touch the walls and the ground, so he could only start compressing the air again for a final counterattack. When Dai saw this familiar action of compressing air, he couldn't help but think of Bartholomew Big Bear. Boom! X3. Oda Nakashi Van Oka once again launched a series of instant snipers. His attack speed has always been the fastest. Even when facing Fire Fist Ace, the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, he was always the first to take action. And Giza's badges is still lying on the ground in the shape of a cube. He simply does not have enough Haki's ability to break free from the cube fruit. That is to say, he probably won't be able to recover until he hits Garum. Garum's compressed air cube was forcibly interrupted by Van Oka, and he could only use the half-finished air cube to blast away Van Oka's sniper bullets. No more time wasted. Dai exerted force with his feet and rushed over at top speed. His right fist instantly wrapped around Armament Haki, turning it extremely black and reflecting the metallic texture. Bang! Just one punch. Garum had already been blasted against the hard barrier by Dai and fell to the barrier ground with bleeding from his mouth and nose. Dai quickly approached again. He picked up the pale Garum with his dark-armed right hand and punched him in the stomach with his left fist. Garum's eyes popped out and blood splattered from his mouth. Garum's breath suddenly became weak. He rolled his eyes, completely collapsed, and lost consciousness. Giza's badges also immediately changed back to his original appearance, but he looked at the other crew members awkwardly. After all, he was the only one here who was killed and turned into a cube, which was a bit embarrassing. Dai casually threw Garum in front of Baiji Kelluo, and Kelluo wisely took out the Seastone handcuffs and handcuffed the prisoner, and he would slowly train him in the future. Dai dispersed the barrier cage, looked at the surveillance bugs in the corner, and gave them a dangerous smile. BioJack, who was in the surveillance room, was completely desperate. It's over, the wall pirates are gone, and so is the Gullo CD. At this time, Zoro and Edrag also jumped up from the lower trap. Only the ship's doctor, Nakin, had been chopped to the ground by Zoro and remained below. Dai asked Du Q to rescue the old ship doctor and the fishman. These guys were all tool men who threatened Garum's good work. From now on, this Gyro Sayadi will be the territory of their Big Daddy pirates. Garum must be allowed to transform it according to Dai's ideas, and Wapple's shape memory alloy should be almost ready. With Dr. 20 from Drum Island, it seems that Na-Keen's Chinese medicine prescription that can make people younger can also undergo secondary research and development. Not only can it be used by yourself, but you might even be able to sell inferior products at a high price. Especially Poison Q, who has a sickly and aging look. Maybe he can change it. It didn't take much time for Dai and the others to find BioJack, who was hiding in the secret surveillance room, and the fishman Sebastian, who was hanging himself in the Chinese medicine treatment room. Officially captured all the remnants of the walled pirates. The crew of the Big Daddy pirates also began to get familiar with the island ship excitedly. In the following days, they moved the treasure and medical equipment from the dreadnought battleships Saber and Iron King onto the island ship. Dr. 20 and the soldiers of Wapple on Drum Island also changed from prisoners to official residents of the island ship. Under the threat of Dai using BioJack, Na-Keen, and Sebastian, Garum was forced to follow Dai's wishes and start using the cube fruit ability to work overtime to transform the Gullo CD, which he had been working on for most of his life. Chapter 72 Lafitte comes to visit after getting the island ship Gullo CD. The Big Daddy pirates have been staying in the non-channel waters between the 5th and 6th routes, carrying out island ship modifications and hockey strengthening training. This guy Wapple, under the threat of death, finally synthesized a shape memory alloy using Munch fruit and continuously produced this alloy to strengthen the power turbine and various equipment of the Golosidi. Dr. 20 and Poison Q are also studying the young prescription of Chinese medicine Nikin, and soon have some results. Under Dai Duo's intensive training, Oda Nakashi Van Oka awakened observation hockey. Pirate Hunter Zoro and fighting champion Badgers, two guys with strong physiques, finally succeeded in awakening the primary armed color entanglement. The fish giant Sebastian, who possesses observation hockey and a powerful physique, has been reduced to a sparring partner for the Big Daddy Pirates, taking turns fighting with the other crew members. This island ship modification and hockey's intensive training lasted almost a month. This brand new Golosidi has finally completed its second transformation. The logos of the Walled Pirates have all been changed to the logos of the Decepticon Susan of the Big Daddy Pirates. The power and equipment inside have almost become shape memory alloys. This was the result of Wapple and Garam's hard work over several laps. A port has been added to the side of the island ship, which can accommodate auxiliary ships such as the Dreadnought Battleship Saber and the Iron King. Even the Sea Beast Moo Moo has a pond to rest. With their own territory, the mental outlook of the crew of the Big Daddy Pirates has also been completely renewed. At this moment, they have transformed from a pirate group into a small force. Captain, while this island ship is nice, it's a little slow, and it's hard to get into the New World. Baiji Crow said that it is almost impossible for such a large island ship to be coded to enter the New World, so this island ship can become a development base for the Grand Line. Haha, why are you thinking so much? There will definitely be a more suitable pirate ship by then. Giz's badges yelled rudely while eating meat. Anyway, he felt that the current Big Daddy Pirates could already control the Grand Line Park. We don't have enough strength. We are in no hurry to enter the New World. Dai Dai took a bite of sea beast meat and said casually that the current strength of the crew is not strong enough, and the crew is still a bit small, so it must be strengthened again. Moreover, he is planning to conquer Sky Island, lead elite cadres, and drive our proverbs into the New World. Knowing that Dai Dai had his own plan, Baiji Kelluo said no more. The huge island ship began to sail towards the island on the 6th route. At this time, on the sea outside, Naval Headquarters has been searching for the Big Daddy Pirates for a long time. Because Dai Dai's blatant attack on the world government franchising countries and the abduction of King Wapple of the Iron Bucket Kingdom were so bad that some kings of the franchising countries united to put pressure on world government. This time the pirates kidnapped the king of the participating countries, and the world government and naval headquarters did not take action. So what should they do next time it is their country's turn? Therefore, this trend must be curbed. Siren Island en Route 6. Devil Sheriff Lafitte, who has been the Grand Line for several months, is wandering alone with a bounty of 42.2 million belly. However, the West Blue pirates who brought him into the Grand Line have all been killed by him, because they are too weak to be with him. It's really a good pirate group. Lafitte looked at the wanted notice of the Big Daddy Pirates and smiled cruelly on his pale face. He had been on this lawless Siren Island for more than a month, and the life here made him very happy. Among this year's rookie pirate group, it was the Big Daddy Pirate Group's strength and style that impressed him. However, their route was a bit far away. Otherwise, he would have gone to find these villains. I wonder if the Big Daddy Pirates can tolerate his cruelty. I'm tired of this island. Go to the next Thug Island and continue the fun. He spread his white wings and left the island. As a flying Zoan demon fruit power, plus a powerful navigator, he can survive on the Grand Line alone and doesn't even need a pirate ship. But he had just been flying on the sea for a few hours, and his super Zoan vision allowed him to see the huge island ship. Especially when he saw the flag on the island ship, his eyes lit up. Is this fate? Lafitte grinned and flew over quickly. He didn't expect that the Big Daddy Pirates had managed so well and now owned a huge island ship so quickly. And on board the Golosidi. Odanakashi Van Oka also saw this uninvited guest, and he fired 3 shots without saying a word. Lafitte, who was high in the sky in the distance, was also startled by the sudden bullets. He didn't expect the snipers of the Big Daddy Pirates to see him from such a distance. This made Lafitte immediately put away his casual attitude and start getting serious. However, This aspect also reflected the power of the Big Daddy Pirates, which made him even more excited. Whether it was the massacre of Martel Island or the attack on the participating countries to kidnap the king, the deeds of the Big Daddy Pirates filled him, the brutal security officer of West Blue, with high expectations. Ignoring the threat from the opponent's sniper, he continued to fly towards the huge island ship. Van Oka's shooting naturally attracted the attention of others. It's a Zoan demon fruit power with a pair of white wings, Van Oka said briefly, and the other crew members picked up their telescopes and looked into the distant sky. Let him come over. That guy is the target of this trip. Just when Van Oka was about to continue shooting, hoping to shoot down this ability user, Dai Dai spoke. This white-winged birdman is not their target this time. Haha, is this the new crew member? I wonder what this guy's strength is besides being able to fly. Giza's badges laughed as he watched the birdman flying over. After being sniped by Van Oka, he still had the courage to rush over. This has gained him a little personal recognition. Seeing that the other party did not continue to shoot, Lafitte smiled and flew faster. After a while, he landed on the Logia. Dear everyone, hello everyone. I am Lafitte from West Blue. Lafitte took off his black top hat, hung his cane and sword, and bowed in salute. People who don't know really think that he is a polite and well-educated gentleman and nobleman, not a pirate. I know you, the brutal sheriff of West Blue, the devil sheriff Lafitte. You boarded this ship. Do you know what it means? Dai Dai walked up and watched with a faint smile as the guy he sent to his door boarded his pirate ship. He was either one of his own or an enemy. Of course, my captain. The sharp intuition of Lafitte, the Zoan ability user, sensed the danger on Dai Dai. Even Poison Q, Zoro, and Fan Oka felt a sense of fatal threat, and the other crew members were also very strong. This made him very satisfied with the strength of these villains, and they were a brutal pirate group worthy of joining. Chapter 73, Carnival Island. After Lafitte joined, Dai Dai immediately ordered to return to the fourth route. This time, he would officially start his combat journey. He wants to eat the 7 warlords of the sea crocodile, the sand crocodile, and devour his Baroque workshop. Since Crocodile is secretly hiding in Alabasta, trying to seize the non-existent Pluton battleship, Dai Dai doesn't mind taking down the few capable people from the Baroque Working Society. On board the Logia, some crew members were fighting fiercely for their status on the ship and to show their strength. However, people like Q, Fan Oka, and Crow are not interested in this kind of false fame. They know that as long as they get the respect of Dai Dai. Van Oka used Wapple's shape memory alloy to upgrade his favorite gun, Senriku, to make it more powerful. In this battle, they still achieved their current strength ranking. Pirate Hunter Zoro, Devil Sheriff Lafitte, Fighting Champion Badgers, Whirlwind Eric, Sonic Adrago, Ghostman Jean, Iron Bear. Even Dai Dai didn't expect Ghostman Agent to be able to defeat the bear with the power of the steel fruit. As for the pirate minions, such as Hypnosis Master Zango, Swordsman Gorath, Iron Wall Balu, and Catman Brothers, they cannot participate in these levels of battles at all. Women such as Desire, Nami, Queen Sweetheart, and Carmen all underwent varying degrees of intensive training under Dai Dai's orders. Even if it's a vase, it should be a stainless steel vase. A vase that can kill ordinary enemies and protect itself. The Logia kept sailing on the sea, and all the pirate groups it encountered along the way were destroyed by the Big Daddy Pirates, without giving the news a chance to be exposed. The Big Daddy Pirates fought their way back from the 6th route to the 4th route. Captain, do you really want to take a detour and go to this Carnival Island? Nami once again determined the sailing direction. The original goal of the Big Daddy Pirates was the ancient island Little Garden at the front of the 4th route to witness the Battle of Giants. But not long ago, after Lafitte picked up a Carnival Party promotion poster floating on the sea, Dai Dai immediately ordered to change the voyage and go to the Carnival Island first. Miss Nami, obeying the captain's orders is the first rule of navigation. Lafitte still had a professional smile on his face and said to the navigator Nami. He did not expect that as a professional navigator, he could not compete with this orange-haired little girl. He was not needed for the position of navigator. However, This little girl who was born with weather sensing is indeed more suitable to be a navigator than him. Now Lafitte can only serve as a crew's lookout, discovering enemies and various strange threats at sea in advance. I see. Although Nami is not interested in this hypocritical Lafitte, his professional knowledge is indeed much better than her, the East Blue Thief, and she often consults this devilish police chief. She immediately used the telephone bug and began to order the soldiers or minions on the left and right engines to adjust the direction of the Golosciety. And Dai was thinking about whether the huge lily carnation from Carnival Island could be transplanted to this island ship. If this magical plant can be conquered, the safety of the Golosciety will be improved to a certain extent. If not, then treat it as a trip and experience. I hope Carnival Baron and Lily Carnation can give Dai a heartwarming battle. Thinking of the huge Lily Carnation rhizome, Dai wanted to open the barrier Susanoo with all his strength and chop it off. And on Bacardi Island on the second route, after Marine's investigation and cleanup, Golden Lion Shiki's pirate men had the opportunity to land on the island to investigate. They would not let his members die in vain. They finally found some clues about the attack and targeted the two ability users of the Big Daddy Pirates, Sonic Drago and Tornado Eric. After learning the news, Golden Lion Shiki immediately angrily dispatched his affiliated pirate group to hunt down the Big Daddy Pirates. The big movement of Golden Lion Shiki quickly attracted Marine's attention. Later, some espionage agents managed to get information about the Big Daddy Pirates from the mouths of the captains affiliated with the Thieves' Captain Association. Soon, the Big Daddy Pirates appeared in the World Economic News again. This is already the second time the Big Daddy Pirates have massacred an island. The most important thing is that he ruined the Golden Lion's recruitment meeting and provoked this legendary pirate. If nothing else, the Big Daddy Pirates who offended the Sky Fleet may not have a chance to survive to the New World. In this way, the two major events of attacking the participating countries to kidnap the king and destroying the pirate leader's recruitment caused Marine and Golden Lion Shiki to search for the whereabouts of the Big Daddy Pirates. Under this pressure, the crew members of the Big Daddy Pirates became more diligent in their training. Now, their pirate ship has fallen into a very dangerous situation. However, Dai believes that as long as the Golden Lion Shiki does not personally go out, the encirclement and suppression of the affiliated pirate groups will be to deliver food to the Big Daddy Pirates. At the same time, Dai also despised the decision-making of naval headquarters. Now that Golden Lion Shiki's pirate fleet is so rampant, he did not send Marine to encircle and suppress them. This may be because Naval Headquarters is afraid that Marineford will be destroyed by the Golden Lion Shiki again. Dai temporarily ignored the pursuit on the sea. After more than a day of sailing, their island ship finally arrived at Carnival Island, a slightly remote island. Lafitte had already flown around in the air and saw the huge vine rhizome on the island. He was sure it was the lily carnation that Captain Dai said. After you go up there, kill everyone you see. These are not real people. They're just leaf people transformed from the vine. Dai decisively ordered that he had no time to play human games with Lily Carnation and Carnival Baron now. He wanted to have a direct showdown with this intelligent fantasy beast plant. Yes, Captain. Most of the crew members shouted excitedly that the monster man transformed from a man-eating plant was easier to kill. Not to mention that most of them were a group of villains. As soon as Dai led the crew to land on the island, the Carnival Baron rode an elephant and led countless spectators to welcome these prey, who landed on the island with singing and dancing. But before Baron Carnival could open his mouth to welcome him, gunfire rang out and shot straight at him. The crew members of the Big Daddy Pirates rushed to kill the audience transformed by these leaves. Lily Carnation, are you interested in moving? Do you think my island ship can accommodate you? Dai rushed forward very quickly, kicked Baron Carnival off the elephant with one kick, then used a barrier to press him hard to the ground, and then grinned at the little yellow flower on Baron Carnival's shoulder and chuckled softly. Chapter 74, Conquering the Flower of Life and Death. The sudden attack by the Big Daddy Pirates left Lily Carnation and Carnival Baron unable to react. But the next moment, the little yellow flower screamed sharply. The leaf people on the entire island began to become frantic, and among them, the former cadres of the Red Arrow Pirates came to kill the Big Daddy Pirates. No penalty for toasting. Barrier cage. Dai directly wrapped him and Baron Carnival in a barrier cage, completely isolating even the ground, completely cutting off the signals and sounds inside and outside, and cutting off the connection between Lily Carnation and the huge rhizome on the island. This time, the little yellow flower showed a human expression of fear. "Who are you? Whatever you want to grab, just take it away. Please don't hurt me." Baron Carnival, who was suppressed on the ground by the barrier, also knew that he was encountering a real challenge this time, so he could only act like a weakling and said with fear on his face, "As long as they and Lily's safety are guaranteed, they can recreate everything on the island. Stop talking, puppet, Lily Carnation. If you keep pretending, I will kill you." Dai ignored Baron Carnival's words. He was just a tool parasitized by the flower of life and death. He just helped Lily Carnation lure people to the island as food. At least hundreds of thousands of people have died on this island. Every leaf person in the audience is a person that Lily Carnation once ate and then transformed through the leaf ability. Before the Carnival Baron drifted to this island in distress, the island's indigenous people had already been eaten up by Lily Carnation. That's why it asked the Carnival Baron to develop this island into a fun and carnival island, constantly tricking pirates and tourists into becoming its food. Hateful, Baron Carnival was pinned to the ground by Dai Duo. His left hand transformed into a red long bow, and his right hand forced his way from under his back and pulled it. A long red arrow appeared out of thin air, shot out instantly, and then actually turned around in the barrier space and shot straight towards Dai. Devil Fruit ability? Or Lily Carnation's ability? Dai grabbed the long red arrow with his armed palm, but the arrow exploded violently in Dai's hand. The Carnival Baron wanted to launch the next red explosive arrow, but Dai's face was already very cold, and he suddenly stepped on the Carnival Baron's left hand. Kara. Dai directly stepped on Baron Carnival's left hand, and the red longbow in his hand disappeared immediately. Lily Carnation, this is your last chance. Dai lifted the barrier shield in his hand with a fierce glare, picked up Baron Carnival's collar with one hand, looked at the little yellow flower on his shoulder indifferently, and then hit Baron Carnival's stomach with a fierce armed fist. "Go up and kick it out." The Carnival Baron smashed against the barrier and kept vomiting blood from his mouth. The little yellow flower also changed from a harmless appearance to a ferocious one. It grew crazily on the Carnival Baron's shoulder and slowly turned into an ugly piranha flower. "Lily, wait. I can still fight." "Don't." Baron Carnival felt his life was losing crazily. His consciousness began to blur, and he suddenly screamed in fear. But soon, the Carnival Baron's voice completely disappeared and turned into a sharp voice that was neither yin nor yang. "What on earth are you going to do?" The ugly piranha roared at Dai in a sharp voice, with its sharp teeth protruding and its saliva splattering, looking extremely disgusting. Lily Carnation is extremely angry now. If it hadn't lost contact with the root body now, it would have turned into millions of bows and arrows through Baron Carnival's bow and arrow ability and shot Dai into a sieve. "Are you looking for death?" When Dai saw the disgusting appearance of Lily Carnation, his desire to conquer was already a little shaken. When he heard it yelling so arrogantly that he couldn't see the situation at all, his murderous intent suddenly erupted. A barrier sword immediately appeared in his hand, and he killed him. Baron Carnival, whose consciousness had been parasitized by Lily Carnation, actually recovered his broken hand. A red longbow instantly appeared in his left hand, and his right hand kept firing arrows into the void. Long red arrows shot at Dai one after another, and the long arrows he blocked exploded directly. Even the long arrows that were dodged could fly back around the bend and attack from the back. Dai's eyes became more murderous, and a simple barrier armor appeared on his body. He ignored the attack of the explosive arrows and withstood the explosion shockwave, He quickly killed Lily Carnation. Seeing Dai getting closer and closer, Lily Carnation became truly frightened. The bow and arrows released from her hands are getting faster and faster, but they couldn't stop Dai's approach at all. Go to hell with that disgusting thing. A flash of sword light, accompanied by Dai's angry voice, Baron Carnival's entire shoulder was cut off, and Lily Carnation was also chopped into the air. Boom! Snapped. The Carnival Baron's body fell down, and Lily Carnation also fell to the ground. But with an expression of fear and pain, it squirmed crazily towards the Carnival Baron's body. It's really disgusting. When Lily Carnation was about to contact Carnival Baron, a barrier spike penetrated its root, pinning it in place and making it unable to move forward. Don't kill me. I surrender. Seeing Dai's big knife hitting her head, Lily Carnation screamed wildly in front of death. Cha! A pool of blood splattered on Lily Carnation's ugly head, and a huge wound appeared on its piranha face. Seeing this ugly appearance, I really want to kill you. In the end, Dai failed to kill this rare flower of life and death. This kind of special plant-type intelligent creature is really rare. Master, let me go back and I will turn back to my cute self immediately. The ugly piranha shivered in fear under Dai's blade and terrifying murderous intent. It also felt a familiar, intimidating aura. It knew that this might be the aura called Conqueror's Haki that Baron Carnival remembered. Before Baron Carnival's Red Arrow pirates were destroyed by an extreme storm, they once encountered a powerful pirate group called the Roger Pirates. The captain and vice captain on the other side were really terrifying. The memory of the Carnival Baron is very strong. Be obedient from now on. Otherwise, when I think of your true form, I will really not be able to help but kill you. Dai Duo let go of the barrier spikes, and Lily Carnation immediately squirmed into Baron Carnival's body and parasitized herself back into this body. Under the power of Lily Carnation's leaf regeneration, the Carnival Baron stood up again and returned to its original appearance. The ugly piranha turned into a small yellow flower, standing on the Carnival Baron's shoulder. However, Baron Carnival's consciousness did not come back, but continued to be occupied by Lily Carnation. At this time, he bowed his head to Dai respectfully to express his surrender. Chapter 75, Lily Carnation Transplantation. Island ship Lily Carnation saw the crew of the Big Daddy Pirates outside, still killing its leaf people. This was all the energy it had accumulated, and it couldn't be wasted like this. Master, let your subordinates stop. They will also be your strength from now on. Lily Carnation immediately spoke to the new owner and said that it had been staying on this island before and could not leave at all. So it parasitized the Carnival Baron and asked him to constantly plan to build the Carnival Island and deceive people little by little. Now that it saw the island ship, it did have a strange idea. If it could make the plants move, it would also like to see the world. The key is that the new owner is very good, and there should be no shortage of high-quality food by then. Dai opened the barrier cage, allowing Lily Carnation to get in touch with these leaves and giant rhizomes. Lily Carnation immediately withdrew all the energy, causing these leaf people to shrink into a puddle of leaf bodies. This made the Big Daddy Pirates, who were enjoying the killing, only curse and return to their place. When they saw the Carnival Baron surrendering like a dog next to Dai, they already knew what had probably happened. TCH, there is no opponent at all. Pirate Hunter Zoro thought of the two men he had chopped down, Muchigoro and DJ Kaba. These two were known to be powerful cadres, but in the end, they had been hacked to death without much effort. Ed Drago, Ajin, and the others killed a few old guys in frog clothes and a teppanyaki chef, and the rest were slaughtering the rioting Leaf spectators. What's the use of turning into so many Leaf spectators? Dai glanced at the Carnival Baron who had his head lowered. He felt that Lily Carnation's mind was not very bright either. He said that making it more lively can attract more tourists and pirates, making it more real. There is a clear sense of stupidity in the beady eyes of Lily Carnation, a little yellow flower, and she said it very seriously. Idiot, tell me, How can you transplant your huge body onto the island ship without any damage? Dai cursed in disgust and then asked. It would be easier if he could just take away the little yellow flower, but this was impossible. Lily Carnation can transform the entire island into leaf people and control them. She has used her huge rhizomes to cover the entire island with tiny rhizomes. She can control the entire island at any time, and even the buildings and entertainment facilities can be transformed. Master, give me a week and I'll take back all the roots. Then you could transplant my giant body over there. Lily Carnation said cautiously. She was afraid that this would take a long time, and the giant rhizome was so huge. Could Dai and the others be able to move it? Well, I'll wait for you for a week. Dai immediately ordered the crew to start a 1-week exercise plan and take the opportunity to have some fun on the island. However, as Lily Carnation regained its underground roots and abilities, these luxurious buildings and entertainment facilities slowly disappeared. This made Dai feel that the ability of this flower of life and death was very powerful. Whether it was transforming a leaf man with fighting power or a real illusion of countless buildings and facilities, it was comparable to the ability of a fantasy beast species. From now on, this flower of life and death will be the guardian tree on the island ship of the Big Daddy Pirates. A week later, the crew of the Big Daddy Pirates were working hard to dig out the mountain and separate Lily Carnation from the island. Under Dai's order, Garum used the cubic fruits to continuously change the terrain, coupled with Desia's slippery fruits, and through the power of everyone, the Lily Carnation slid from the mountain to the coast. At the last minute, this huge flower of life and death was transported to the island ship. During this period, Lily Carnation was also able to use Baron Carnival's bow ability to turn the rhizomes of the flower of life and death into long arrows that filled the sky, reducing most of the weight until they were transplanted to the island ship and restored. The few survivors on Carnival Island, the captain of the Mustache Pirates and the family of the Tea House Pirates, were all captured and put on the island ship to prevent them from exposing the information about the Big Daddy Pirates and the flower of life and death. After the flower of life and death was transplanted into the island ship, its countless rhizomes immediately spread throughout the Gullo Sayadi and began to take over the island ship, allowing it to transform into most parts of the island ship. The Leaf Man comes out. Some crew members found it a bit interesting and asked Lily Carnation to conjure some opponents to fight with. However, there are not many masters among the people Lily Carnation has swallowed, and it cannot conjure something powerful out of thin air, which requires a lot of memory. These former cadres of the Red Arrow Pirates, the Leaf Men, were shaped bit by bit after Lily Carnation obtained his memories through the parasitic Carnival Baron. Whether it's his voice, appearance, specific personality, or attack moves, they're all very close to him. Lily Carnation can even create a crude version of the Roger Pirates based on Baron Carnival's memories, but it just doesn't have much strength, and many of the voices and characters are not restored enough. However, this is enough for the crew of the Big Daddy Pirates, because they could defeat a Leaf Man who looks like Roger, the Pirate King. Several old men from the remnants of the Walled Pirates also requested Lily Carnation through the bounty order photos, and transformed into Burndy Wald's dull-looking Leaf Man. At that moment, these old men who had been waiting for nearly 30 years shed tears and felt a little nostalgic, but they also felt relieved. They were almost 80 years old. Do they still have a chance to wait for Burndy Wald to escape from prison? They really planned to retire on the Big Daddy Pirates. Other crew members also used photos to conjure up some Leaf people to commemorate them. However, after the initial freshness, the Gullo Sayadi quickly returned to its former calm. Under the threat of Marine and Golden Lion Shiki, they must become stronger quickly. Captain, you have already contacted the forces of the underground Dark Emperor, Sea Transport King, and the Joker. They said they would only do business with us in the shape memory alloy business after we withstood the siege of Golden Lion Shiki. Devil Sheriff Lafitte held a telephone bug and said helplessly to Dai. It seemed that this diplomacy was a bit of a failure. Now Dai also wants to obtain more sea stone weapons and even devil fruit through underground dark forces, such as Doflamingo. After hearing that the Big Daddy Pirates could develop good things like shape memory alloys, Doflamingo even started to recruit them, his tone full of greed. Fortunately, Lafitte has not thrown away the rejuvenation potion that can temporarily restore youth. Otherwise, it will arouse the covetousness of these underground dark emperors. Do you think we can't survive the influence of Golden Lion Shiki? Dai Dai said expressionlessly. The aura on his body became more and more violent. Sooner or later, he would kill all these guys. Chapter 76, Ancient Island. Little Garden, the Gullo Sayadi advanced at sea. Now, there is a huge black mast in the center of the island ship, which is the root of the flower of life and death. There's also a very high watchtower built near the top section, and Naoshi Van Oka and Devil Sheriff Lafitte like to stay on it very much. Lily Carnation can control this body to bend and land on the ground, or it can straighten and stand high in the sky, providing a field of vision for the lookouts of the Big Daddy pirates. The top section is actually Lily Carnation's feeding port. Now Dai Dai practices the 40-meter barrier sword facing the sea every day, and from time to time, he can kill some sea kings for extra meals. Boom! I really met the forces under Golden Lion Shiki. After discovering other pirate groups in the extremely high watchtower of the Guro Sayadi, the crew of the Big Daddy Pirates will let the Sea Beast Moo Moo and pull the Dreadnought Battleship Saber to conduct a quick raid and deal with them head-on. Or to be more exciting, use a large-scale diving surprise sailing ship, the White Iron King, to dive directly in front of the opponent and then suddenly attack them. These days, the Big Daddy Pirates have wiped out 2 or 3 pirate groups and given Lily Carnation a lot of food. This time I finally encountered an affiliated pirate group that carried the flag of the Flying Pirates. It's the Big Daddy Pirates. Notify the headquarters immediately. The captain of the Jackal Pirates shouted with all his strength, but the next moment, his crew with the phone bugs were shot in the forehead and fell down, and even the phone bugs were exploded. Hateful. As soon as he finished shouting, a figure was already killing him at a very fast speed. When he saw Dai Dai's appearance clearly, the light of the sword flashed by, and he felt that the whole world began to turn over. His head hit the ground hard, and the last thing he saw was a big foot stepping down. How dare a bunch of rubbish come to trouble me? Dai Dai said coldly with an expressionless face. It seems that he still dare not improve his reputation. Even if he is the strongest newcomer king, he is still a newcomer and does not have much deterrence at all. Wow! Captain, we need a real war. Fighting Champion Giza's badges blasted away several pirates and laughed, and said that the bounties on these people have not changed for a long time. Any pirate group seen these days has been exterminated, and their whereabouts have not been exposed at all. So now they need a fight to make their name. Where are you now? Dai Dai asked Nami that it was time to launch an attack on Baroque Works. Lao Sha, he's done. Even Marine can't stop him. We're almost at Little Garden. Nami immediately stepped forward and said that after leaving Carnival Island, they rushed straight to Little Garden. Hopefully Baroque Works won't be so unlucky. Dai Dai chuckled and said, in fact, the people from Baroque Works have been coveting the hundreds of millions of bounties from Blue Ogre Dory and Red Ogre Broggy. I wonder if they have taken any action now. If you encounter them, don't blame Dai Dai for taking them down easily. These Baroque cadres with bounties worth millions and tens of millions dare to find ways to kill 2 giants with bounties worth hundreds of millions. It seems that they're very enterprising. Lafite, Zhangao, how are you doing with your hypnosis skills? Dai Dai asked these 2 guys. Now the main way to obtain Hakoku's training method in Dory and Broggy is to rely on these 2 hypnosis masters. If that doesn't work, just let Lily Carnation parasitize them and obtain their memories. Even if they are killed, they might even get 2 powerful Leaf Giant warriors in the end. I wonder if the Leaf Man can use the powerful combined technique Hakoku. However, if we really kill these 2 former captains of the Giant Pirates, there's indeed a high possibility of making the entire Giant clan hate them. You must know that Charlotte Linlin was hostile to the Giants all her life because she killed Jorl, the last captain of the Giant Pirates. But Crocodile, this guy, actually dared to let Baroque Company Limited kill these 2 giant captains. He was very courageous. Although most members of the Baroque Working Group and other outsiders do not know that the boss of the Baroque Working Group is the 7 warlords of the Sea Sand Crocodile. The success rate is higher after they're debilitated. Lafitte smiled confidently on his pale face. His hypnosis technique was blessed by the devil fruit ability, and with the assistance of Zhang Ao, he was even more confident. Then I understand, Dai Dai said calmly. That is to defeat them. If hypnosis succeeds and gets Elbaf's training method, it will naturally be the best. Otherwise, Dai Dai would have no choice but to be ruthless. Anyway, Golden Lion Shiki has been offended, and he doesn't care about a giant clan. Charlotte Linlin killed Jorl the Waterfall Beard when she was 5 or 6 years old, and she still grew up to be the aunt of the 4 emperors. She's still living well and has not even suffered much revenge from the giants. As long as you are strong enough, the so-called giants are actually nothing more than that. What's more, the giants are also divided into 2 factions, those who are close to Marines and those who want to be pirates. They have huge internal conflicts, and with a small number of people, they're simply unable to carry out large-scale conquests and revenge. On the other side, coincidentally, the last time Nico Robin led a team into Whiskey Peak to intercept the Big Daddy pirates, they were eventually frightened back by Dai Dai's massacre record. However, after some observation when they passed Little Garden, and after returning to Alabastus Rain Feast, Mr. 3 made a proposal to hunt the giant. Finally, under the decision of the boss behind the scenes, Sand Crocodile, he was finally ready to take action against Blue Ogre Dory and Red Ogre Broggy, 2 giants with bounties worth hundreds of millions. Crocodile also wanted to test the true strength of the Baroque Cooperative. If they could successfully kill 2 giants with bounties worth hundreds of millions, it would prove that these weaklings could still be of some use. Haha, this ancient island should be able to feed Lily Carnation, and then it can create a more powerful opponent to be beaten by me. Badgers laughed and said that he was very confident in his own strength, and he might be able to compete with giants. I don't know if my sword can block the giant's weapon. My strength is still far behind the giants. Zoro touched his 3 knives, clenched his fists, his muscles began to swell, and his eyes were filled with fighting intent. With a crazy cultivating captain like Dai Dai, he became more diligent and stronger. If it were the Straw Hat Pirates in the original work, he would be the only one on the ship consciously practicing hard, while most of the crew would be playing leisurely. And the atmosphere would be a bit different after all. Oh, there seems to be someone else. Devil Sheriff Lafitte flew around the area and discovered other pirate ships, which made him a little bit amused. Captain Dai Dai fed Lily Carnation, the flower of life and death, to those useless pirates. Chapter 77 Blue Ogre Dory. The approach of the huge island ship Golosidi quickly attracted the attention of the people left behind in the Baroque working society. These gangsters have never encountered such a huge pirate ship. They immediately picked up the phone, tremblingly, and were about to report the news to the officials on the island. Boom! X3 on this pirate ship with the number 3 on it. The 3 remaining minions fell down one after another, with red and white blood coming out of their foreheads. Why don't you just kill them? Otoyoshi Van Oka glanced at this guy Lafitte and said expressionlessly, "Don't be angry. Isn't this trusting your shooting skills?" Devil Sheriff Lafitte flew back, immediately raised his hands, and said innocently, but the fake smile on his face did not change. Recently, he has figured out the character and strength of most of the crew members on this ship. Apart from Captain Dai Dai, Poison Q is the most dangerous, and the remaining Van Oka and Zoro are also quite a threat to him. However, because he can fly, the threat to him from a sniper Van Oka is 1 level higher than that of the pirate hunter Zoro. When you get on the ship, you have to believe in the choice of fate. Don't have too many small thoughts. Van Oka said lightly, and then disembarked from the boat and landed on the island, because he also wanted to see the strength of these giants. Ah, you are really cold and cold. Lafitte pinched the brim of his top hat, continued to smirk, and then followed suit. Ever since he learned from Dai Dui that the Baroque Working Group was the force of the 7 warlords of the Sea Crocodile, Lafitte had been wondering if the captain wanted to unseat the Sand Crocodile and then become the 7 warlords of the sea himself. See, but recently, he felt a certain aura that was becoming more and more obvious on Dai Dai. He believed that this captain was not like a man with a position like 7 warlords of the sea. However, If it is used for transitional development, this position can be occupied for a while. Dai Dai didn't pay attention to Fan Oka's gunfire and started to land on this huge primitive island with these crew members. Seeing that there were all kinds of dinosaurs here, Dai Dai asked Badgers and a Drago to catch some dinosaurs and bring them back to the island ship to raise them. They were very good whether they were used as ornamental animals or as spare food. Near the volcano in the center of Little Garden, the cadres of the Baroque working group have been on this primitive island for several days, and they have successfully figured out the battle patterns and work and rest times of the two giants. But the fighting power of the two giants is indeed very powerful. As expected of the captain of the giant pirates, who had a bounty of over 100 million yuan nearly 100 years ago, the aftermath of the battle alone shocked them. And none of these Baroque cadres has a bounty of more than 50 million. Even the cadre Mr. 3, who led the team this time, was just a wanted criminal worth 24 million belly. Not even as good as his partner Miss Golden Week, a little girl. This girl who loves to draw with a sketch pad on her back already has a bounty of 29 million belly. This time our plan is to outwit you. Mr. 3, whose hairstyle is the same as the number 3, said to these Baroque members. After the next duel between these two giants, while they are exhausted, we will launch an attack. Mr. 5, you put your explosives in their food and drinks, wait for them to eat and drink, and then detonate them. I don't believe that the defense of their stomachs is so strong. Mr. 3's glasses flashed with a bright light. Although he is not the strongest, he is naturally the smartest and is 100 times smarter than Mr. 2 and Mr. 1. Boss also admired him because of his intelligence and unscrupulousness. Clear. MR5, who had dark skin and sunglasses and put his pocket in his pocket, answered coldly that he was a user with Paramecia Barrier Fruit ability, but the current bounty was only 10 million Baileys. However, he is now working as a gangster with Baroque Company Limited and is not considered a real pirate, so his exposure rate is not that high. I don't know if my 10,000-pound attack can cause damage to these giants. Mississippi Valentine, a fashionable girl wearing a dress and holding an umbrella, murmured that facing these giants, she suddenly became a little unconfident about her attacks. Her kilogram fruit can only be adjusted back and forth from 1 kilogram to 10,000 kilograms. It is a very useless devil fruit. Moreover, her bounty is only 7.5 million belly, which is not even comparable to the pirates in East Blue. She is here with the mentality of joining the Baroque Job Company to get a part-time job. Suddenly, there was a loud and noisy sound in this huge forest. Countless birds were flying around, and various beasts were roaring. Oh, which BD is making such a big noise? Mr. 3 said angrily that their plan now is to lurk and wait for the giants to fight before taking them down. What should I do now that these subordinates have staged such a huge battle and made the two giants alert? As they thought, Blue Ogre Dory and Red Ogre Broggy were indeed attracted by the movement in the forest. Way ha ha, fighting champion badgers, Sonic Drago, Iron Bear, and other crew members were excitedly chasing these dinosaurs and beating them violently. They would drag them back to the ship and raise them, or beat them to death and let Lily Carnation devour them. It's another pirate group. Mr. 3 immediately led everyone back to his candle rockery, and the outside of the rockery had been colored and camouflaged by Miss Golden Week, making it almost impossible for others to recognize it. Blue Ogre Dory and Red Ogre Broggy stood at the edge of the forest, carrying giant swords and axes, waiting for the arrival of these strangers. Not just pirates, they didn't know how many pirate groups they had encountered in the past 100 years. A green figure rushed out quickly and instantly saw the giant Dory carrying a giant sword. Hey, giant with a sword. Let's have a fight. Pirate Hunter Zorro, who rarely got lost, rushed straight towards the opponent he was expecting. Ah, well done. Giants are never afraid of challenges. Blue Ogre Dory raised his sword and laughed, and glanced at Red Ogre Broggy provocatively. Obviously, this pirate thought he was stronger, so he challenged him. So it means that Red Ogre Broggy must be weaker than him. Is this pirate challenging you because he thinks you're weak? Red Ogre Broggy rolled his eyes at Dory, and then muttered unhappily. And Dory was already taking huge steps, accelerating towards this tiny human being, hoping that this little guy wouldn't be killed by him in one move. Because the humans who can block his sword are all the real strong men in the sea. Dory, a 22.6-meter giant, raised a huge sword of more than 10 meters and slashed at Zoro, who was only 1.8 meters tall. It was like knocking away a small mouse. Zoro's swords and Dory's giant sword collided violently. Sparks flew and a huge sound erupted. But he only held on for a second before he was knocked backwards by the huge force. He turned over hard in the air and plowed hundreds of meters of ravines on the ground. Chapter 78 Baroque Cadres exposed. Seeing that Zoro had not lost his fighting power, Blue Ogre Dory laughed with satisfaction. It was already very powerful to have such strength in the front section of the Grand Line's paradise. I'm so impressed that you dare to compete with giants in strength. Baiji Crow had nothing to say to these crew members with half brains and muscles. As soon as he finished speaking, Badgers rushed towards Red Ogre Broggy. Come on, giant. Let's show our strength. Badgers excitedly bumped into Broggy. He was a fighting champion who could easily throw a boat or a building. Haha, have courage. Broggy immediately threw down his giant axe and shield happily. Since someone was competing with him, he certainly couldn't lose the face of the giants. Two figures, one large and one small, flew over their shoulders and collided violently. Not surprisingly, it was Badgers, the little one, who was knocked out and sprayed a mouthful of blood in the air. However, after he hit the ground, he quickly got up quickly, as if he was not injured at all. With his strong physique, even if he could withstand a punch from Garp the Fist and a giant Buddha Blast from Marine Marshal Sengoku, he could still be alive and kicking and continue to attack Whitebeard. In terms of taking a beating, Badgers is also a famous immortal weakling in Summit War and can rival Blackbeard. The cadres of the Baroque working group who were watching the battle in the rockery swallowed unconsciously. Are these human beings monsters? He can actually go head-to-head with a giant. In the eyes of Baiji Crow, Lafitte, and Van Oka, Badgers has more muscles in his brain than Zoro, almost filling his brain. However, this resistance ability is worthy of recognition, and he will be the best human shield combatant in the Big Daddy Pirates from now on. Dai Dai and others also made their formal appearance and walked out of the huge forest. With the appearance of Dai Dai, the atmosphere became stagnant. Even Blue Ogre Dory and Red Ogre Broggy looked at the young human seriously, as if there was an invisible sense of oppression. Inside the rockery, Mr. 3 and the others stared at the man who appeared with wide eyes. Isn't this the East Blue Rookie King that the Vice President wanted to block before? Later, Dai Dai's massacre on Martel Island made the Vice President afraid to provoke this man, and he withdrew to Alabasta in despair. This guy is the Rookie King of East Blue with a bounty of hundreds of millions, one of this year's supernova candidates. MR3. It seems that this mission cannot be completed. The little girl, Miss Golden Week, also shrank her head, hugged the drawing board tightly, and whispered with a little fear. Opposite were real pirates who had massacred thousands of people, not like a mafia organization like Baroque Company Limited who was trying to complete their mission. Sure. Mr. 3 immediately raised his finger and tremblingly stopped Miss Golden Week, who still wanted to speak. Seeing this, Mississippi Valentine quickly covered her mouth. She is just a young and fashionable beauty who wants to be a cake chef. She doesn't want to die on this kind of task. She just wants to make enough money to quit the Baroque works and open her own shop. But at this moment, the god of death, Dai Dai, actually turned his head and looked directly towards them. Then the sniper carrying a gun on the opposite side also looked towards them and raised his sniper rifle. Then everyone in the Big Daddy Pirates followed Dai Dai and Fan Oka in confusion and looked at the hills in the distance. Finally, even Blue Ogre Dory and Red Ogre Broggy followed sideways and looked over without knowing why. The atmosphere on the field suddenly became strange, and everyone present looked towards a hill. There was no tense atmosphere at all when Dai Dai appeared just now. Inside the rockery, several cadres of the Baroque War Company and a few soldiers were already pale, sweating wildly all over their bodies, and the sound of swallowing did not stop. It's so obvious. They've been exposed. 3. What should we do now? Miss Golden Week pulled the hem of Mr. Three's clothes and said with trembling lips. It seemed that it was because of her opening her mouth just now that the murderer opposite noticed her. And Mr. Three was also stunned. This script would make him kneel down even if the vice president came. That sighed. Hey, kid, what are you looking at? Blue Ogre Dory and Red Ogre Broggy felt a little dissatisfied with Dai's diverting behavior, which was a bit disrespectful to these two giants. Sonic Adrago and Cyclone Eric had already launched sonic cannons and huge wind blades, blasting directly towards the hill. Since both the captain and the sniper have discovered something strange, they have to cover it with firepower first. Van Oka was also ready to wait for the rat to appear and deliver the fatal blow. Boom! The candle rockery was exploded with a bang, and several figures escaped immediately, and even an umbrella flew into the sky. Boom! With a gunshot, the woman in the air fell back. At this moment, Miss Valentine's right palm was penetrated, and she couldn't even hold the umbrella. She looked at the demons of the Big Daddy Pirates with a fearful expression and immediately knelt down to surrender. She didn't want the second shot to be aimed at her head. The sniper on the opposite side is too powerful, and there is no way to escape. Slow down, we surrender. We surrender. Mr. Three panicked and raised a candle shield to block the remaining attacks and shouted quickly. With the difference in strength between them, this is impossible to fight. The second-line cadres on the opposite side can destroy them together. Hearing the cry for mercy, Ed Drago and Eric stopped their attacks and then left it to Dai Duo to deal with. After all, when they saw two ability users on the opposite side, it showed that the other side was still of some use and might even become a member of the Big Daddy Pirates. If he doesn't surrender, he can be imprisoned or fed to lily carnations. And Mr. Three immediately pulled Miss Golden Week Mariano. Mr. Five, and the injured Mississippi Valentine Machida ran to Dai Dui, bowed his waist to express surrender, and did not dare to fight back at all. Just now, Mr. Five wanted to fight back with a booger bomb, but he was so frightened that he slapped the stupid young man on the head. This counterattack almost killed them all. Captain Dai, we surrender, really surrender. In fact, I have already been full of respect for you, and this time I specially brought a few good friends to join the Big Daddy Pirates. Mr. Three is like being possessed by Emperor Yin, fully expressing his desire to join the Big Daddy Pirates. In the end, he even hugged Dai Duo's thigh, crying and saying that if he didn't accept them, he would die to apologize because he felt guilty for the trust of several partners and could not let them successfully join the Big Daddy Pirates. Seeing Mr. Three's touching performance, not only the crew members of the Big Daddy Pirates said that this is really a talent, but also several cadres of Baroque Works were moved by this performance. The third brother paid too much dignity for their lives. Chapter 79, Conquering Four People Dai looked at Mr. Three's sincere expression of simple emotions. Although he knew how to act, his acting skills were really strong. It's really worthy of you, the third brother of the clown Emperor's deputy. In the original work, it was Fire Fist Ace who failed to live up to the hard work and dedication of you, the key man. Even if you successively unlocked the Seastone handcuffs of Fire Fist Ace and Phoenix Marco, you still failed to help the Straw Hat Kid rescue his brother in the end. However, the Straw Hat Boy's life-saving grace and impel down, Mr. Three has already risked his life and repaid the favor on the execution platform. Dai picked up Mr. Three, who was still hugging his thigh, and suddenly realized that this guy's tears and nose had touched his pants. Once you get on the Big Daddy Pirate ship, it will be a lifetime affair. Betrayal means death. Are you sure you want to get on the ship? And are you afraid of retaliation from Baroque Works? Dai Duo held up MR3's collar and spoke slowly with a smile on his face. He also revealed their true identities by the way, with a hint of murderous intent in his tone. I don't know if it's because of the tears and runny nose, or because Mr. Three lied. Hearing that the God of Death knew about their Baroque workshop, Mr. Three was stunned for a moment and forgot how to continue acting. Miss Gold and Miss Valentine's faces turned pale again with fright. It's over. Even the third brother's acting skills are useless. I also want to find an opportunity to leave in the future, but it seems that there is no such option now. Today I either die or join this demon pirate group. Glue, Captain, we have decided to board this ship. We are born as members of the Big Daddy Pirates, and we die as the ghosts of the Big Daddy Pirates. Mr. 3 swallowed nervously and immediately shouted firmly. In his heart, he could only say sorry to the boss of Baroque Works. It wasn't that he wanted to betray, it was actually forced by the situation. Boss, didn't you say you like me to complete the task by any means necessary? In fact, I will still live without any bottom line. However, after boarding the Big Daddy Pirate's ship, I guess I won't be able to jump horizontally again. What he means is what you mean. Dai put down the old man MR3 and then looked at the remaining cadres. Those minions had already been completely finished under the first wave of attacks by Ed Drago and Eric. Yes, Captain Dido. Under Mr. 3's crazy eyes, Miss Gold and Miss Valentine immediately shouted, and Mr. 5 also reacted and shouted, "This is a new boss." However, when they think of the current situation of the Big Daddy Pirates, they're also upset. Naval Headquarters' focus on it has offended Golden Lion Shiki, which is too difficult to deal with. However, now that I can live one day at a time, I have more hope while living. Hey, did you handle it well? You left us here for so long. Blue Ogre Dory and Red Ogre Broggy shouted to Daiduo a little impatiently. But before Daiduo could give the order, Zoro and Badgers had already rushed forward again. Continue our fight, the two shouted, and the other crew members of the Big Daddy Pirates, including Ed Drago, Eric, Steel Bear, Ghost Mannequin, were also ready to join the battle at any time. Today, these two giants will be exhausted, and Fan Oka, La Fight, and Poison Q are all watching these two battles indifferently. Get ready for the next hypnosis action. Crow is responsible for educating these newcomers, while Desire and Nami also help Miss Valentine bandage the gunshot wound on her hand. And by the way, they became familiar with the abilities of these two newcomer girls. Seeing that Badgers couldn't hold on any longer, other crew members joined the battle one after another. Blue Ogre Dory and Red Ogre Broggy were not angry. Instead, they laughed heartily and wanted to teach these ignorant humans a lesson. Dai intended to let the two captains of the giant pirates train his crew members and let them see how strong they were. So he had not taken action yet. At this time, Mr. 3 walked over cautiously with a ringing phone. Captain Dai. The caller was made by the vice president of Baroque Working Company. He may be asking us to report on our work. How should I answer now? Mr. 3 said respectfully that it would be better to leave the showdown to the current boss. If he had just had a showdown with the vice president, the captain would ask him to go back and work as an undercover agent. That would be difficult. Bring it here. Dai directly took the phone bug from Mr. 3's hand. Now, except for Sand Crocodile, there was no one in the entire Baroque Works that Dai was afraid of. Is it Mr. 3? At Nico, Robin, and Alabasta, seeing Mr. 3's phone bug not getting through for so long made her prepare for the worst. The Mr. 3 and Mr. 5 teams may be wiped out by the two giants. But after the call was connected, she suspected that someone else had killed the two teams, because the giant would not answer such a small phone bug. It's me, Didi Babaya. When you hear this name, you should have guessed all this. Robin, I heard you went to Whiskey Peak to find me. What? Do you really want to see me? Dai waved away MR3, then found a quiet place to have a good chat with the son of the devil. Before, he was busy developing his power, so he was too lazy to play tricks with Nico Robin. Now he has the strength to go head-to-head with the Sand Crocodile, so he doesn't need to be too afraid of the 7 warlords of the sea. Moreover, if Crocodile can be tricked out of the desert country of Alabasta and fight on the sea, then the Sand Crocodile, which loses its home field advantage, will become somewhat weaker. Dai didn't save the kingdom for a certain princess, so there was no need for him to go to Crocodile's territory and engage in a life-or-death duel with the Logia Sansan Fruit ability user. Those members are all dead? What identity do you still have? Nico Robin's face is a little ugly, now that Mr. 1 has been following Crocodile, and Mr. 2 is playing the king in Alabasta. She doesn't have many people to use at all. They're not dead, they just joined my pirate group. As for my identity, I am a captain of the Big Daddy Pirates. But I know the whereabouts of some historical texts, And I also know some of the secrets about this world, including everything about you, of course. Dai said lightly. He suddenly realized that he didn't seem to have any attachment to Nico Robin. His goal is not One Piece at all. There is no need to decipher the historical text, and there is no need to go to the final island of Raftel to talk about Nico Robin's role in Dai. It seems that it is the translation of Pluton's design draft. However, he may not be able to grab the Pluton design draft from Frankie, and even if Nico Robin gets on the ship, he may not be willing to translate the ancient weapon design draft that destroys the island. Therefore, it doesn't seem to matter whether Nico Robin can get on his ship. What's more, Dai also knew that ancient weapon Pluton Pluto was among Wanakuni. Chapter 80 talking to Robin again, it was as if he could hear that Dai's tone had changed slightly from before, becoming a little more indifferent, which made Nico Robin calm down quickly. Thinking back to Dai before, he said something like Robin Jiang and said that he likes you in the future and looks forward to meeting her. Now, what is the tone of this? Sure enough, men are all big pigs. His face changes faster than a ghost. So you're going to deal with Crocodile? Nico Robin regained her calm voice. Now that Dai knows the identities of her and Sand Crocodile, and now dares to forcibly recruit the cadres and members of Baroque Working Group, isn't it clear that he wants to take action against Crocodile? Does this newcomer king really not know the terrifying power of 7 warlords of the sea? In other words, does Dai, who has a bounty of hundreds of millions, think that Sand Crocodile really only has the strength of 81 million Baileys? This bounty was the amount of the wanted order more than 20 years ago. After Crocodile became 7 warlords of the sea, this bounty has been discontinued. What the Sand Crocodile is looking for is not in Alabasta at all. When you lose your use value, he will kill you without hesitation. Dai reminded casually, looking at the fierce battle between the Big Daddy pirates and the 2 giant warriors. The strength of these 2 giant pirate captains is really not as weak as in the original work, and they also suffered a huge loss from appearing too early. You must know that almost 100 years ago, their bounty was already hundreds of millions, and the Sand Crocodile's bounty more than 20 years ago was 81 million Baileys. As a result, 2 years after the big event, the bounty on Sand Crocodile soared to 1.965 billion belly, achieving a qualitative leap. Maybe it's not just a leap. It's like reaching the sky in one FG step. This bounty is higher than all the lieutenants of the 4 Emperors pirate group, which completely reduces the 3 general stars and the 3 major boards to the background. Jinbei also experienced 2 4 Emperors battles, namely the Cake Island incident and the Wanakuni battle, before slowly rising to 1.1 billion Baileys. So how much water did a certain Oda put into him in order to enhance the role of Sand Crocodile and make up for the setting balance of 7 warlords of the sea and 4 emperors? What big things did Sand Crocodile do in those 2 years? Is it more exaggerated than Wanakuni's 4 emperors battle? This also makes Dui's assessment of Crocodile's strength full of uncertainty. If Straw Hat Luffy's trick doesn't work at all, then wouldn't Dai go deliver food? Therefore, it is necessary for Dai to lure Sand Crocodile out of Alabasta to test his true strength. And now Robin, the Baroque vice president, seems to be a good choice. If Nico Robin can be allowed to end his cooperation with Crocodile early and join the Big Daddy pirates, then Dai can trick the 7 warlords of the sea into fighting at a specific location. Nico Robin frowned again when he heard Dai's safety reminder. Does Dai really know the location and content of Alabasta's historical text? Robin doesn't know what Dai's real intention is. Is this to drive a wedge between her and Sand Crocodile? So what? However, she pretended to be confused and wanted to see what the other party meant. You can't get the historical text you want by following the Sand Crocodile. If you're willing to cooperate with me, I can tell you the whereabouts of 1 or 2 pieces of historical text, and even the general content. If you want to board my ship, I will accept you, and I will hand over the historical text information that is useless to me to your crew. Dai said as he watched Zoro being hacked away by Blue Ogre Dory again. But he also left some wounds on Dory. Under Adrago's Sonic Cannon and Eric's Windblade, Dory and Broggy's centuries-old dilapidated shields were finally slowly broken to pieces. Even their giant swords and axes showed signs of being overwhelmed, and more cracks began to appear. This made the two giants feel a little distressed. They would rather be injured than see their weapons damaged. However, the strength of the new pirates of the Big Daddy Pirates has been initially recognized by the two Elbaf warriors. You want me to betray Sand Crocodile? Are you sure you can defeat him? Nico Robin smiled lightly. Although she was very interested in the historical text information from Dai Duo, it was a bit arrogant for a mere newcomer king to want her to give up as 7 warlords of the sea-level partner. You only need to tell him that I have conquered several people from Mr. 3, and that I will pass by Liwa Island near Alabasta in about a week. As for whether he comes to take revenge on me, a newcomer, that depends on his own decision. You're just reporting information, are you right? Dai casually mentioned the name of an island near Alabasta. If possible, a fight with Sand Crocodile on another island would be a good choice to test his strength. It would be better if we met directly on the sea and started fighting directly. Aren't you afraid that we will take Crocodile to ambush you? Nico Robin also became a little interested in Dai's suggestion. She knew Crocodile's character very well. If she helped him translate the historical text, she would most likely kill herself, but she also prepared many escape plans. That's fine. I just want to have a fight with the Sand Crocodile. As for you and the entire Baroque working group coming together...
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.